Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your co-host, M2 Dave, and I'm here with my co-hosts Rio Slips and Tom Creeping Ice Brady. It's every time I have to say it. So, welcome to the podcast. We want to start with the state of the game. Rio, actually, I'm gonna save Rio for last. Tom, what is your opinion on the state of the game?
I think the state of the game is disappointing because of how good the game actually is. It's like there was a time when, you take whatever because they really can't do anything about the game, or whether it comes out in the arcade or you're not really in an era where you can patch stuff. So it's like, it's a good game, but I mean, that's all we have for now, and they really can't do anything about it. This game is so close to really a lot of what we want, as opposed to where we came from, like MKX. It's going in the right direction, but I think when it comes to competitive balance, there's just a few tweaks they could do, and I'm hoping they don't wait till that's too late. It's not horribly imbalanced, but there are just a few things like why? Like, what's the reason for that? Clearly, it's a problem. And I feel like some of the things, like functional wise, I think doesn't make any sense. I feel like the game doesn't really have its own rules, and it's got weird things that, like, I want to see the game grow. I want to see our community grow. I look at games like Tekken. I remember, I've been in the Tekken community for quite a while. I remember in MK9, when NetherRealm was a brand new series that restarted, we were crushing a community that had been around for 20 years. And now they went from the bottom to they make us look like fools. They keep growing and we keep shrinking. Our numbers will be probably down 1,000 from one Evo to the next, and theirs will probably be up 500. And it just, just the little things in the game that really deter other players from coming to the game and are kind of weird. Like some of the simple things, like why can't I consistently come out of block and down one something -7 with a 6-frame down one? Why can't I, why does this collision not work right? Why does a throw hit mid, hit mid, hit mid? It hits grounded, but now it hits high. It's like there's just so many. It's like, is a throw high or mid? Well, it's a high here. It's a mid here. Here it should be a mid, but it's a high because this has got some immune frames. This is too many ends, ifs, or buts to certain scenarios that if you're a new player to Mortal Kombat, you're like, what are the rules? It's high, but it's not high. Now it's mid, and now it's really mid, and now it's back to a high. Kind of dumb. And I some of the collision stuff, fixing gear assist forward 2-1-2 because we all agree it's a launcher. People going under it looks kind of stupid and buggy. But then what about somebody else like Johnny Cage? It just, I feel like MK's got a lot of that. Like two people saying, hey, our stuff should be fixed. And if nobody gets fixed, it seems more fair. But then when you pick and choose, well, this character, you shouldn't be able to go under his stuff, but you should be able to go, it's almost like, why is that okay? This kind of stuff turns people off. Like, well, why should you get fixed? And it just turns to more internal problems. And the heartbreaking thing about the game is it's so close to being right. So close. But if it stays the way it is, it'll just be that game that was right there, had a perfect opportunity to take over and really put Mortal Kombat where it should be and really have us grow and go to the next level. And if some of this stuff doesn't get looked at, it'll just be like, well, another MK game that doesn't work. And I'm not trying to say anything about the studio and the game, but I'm telling you right now, if you pulled every single gaming community, if you had to bet your life, there was one game out there that God knows so many things aren't going to work, they would all say Mortal Kombat. And that's not hating on the game because I love it. And I want to see it get better so that we can all have fun with it. But it's just the truth. And I hope that these things, it's not big things, but they're little things. But sometimes even the smallest things can really turn people off. So I'm hoping it gets fixed. But other than that, I think the game is in a good place. It's almost perfect, just not quite.
All right, Slips, what do you think?
I mean, I pretty much agree with Tom. Like, there seems to be a lot of like consistency issues, like hitbox issues, stuff working on stuff like it should work and it doesn't, on this character or this character, or Like Tom was talking about how on one player side this thing works and on second player side this thing does. That stuff's weird, and that does kind of turn people off. But I think that's like probably that, and just the typical balance, just making sure all characters can compete and they all have the tools, like normal balance stuff. Otherwise, I mean, I think the game's fine.
Rio?
Okay, just like all NRS games, all of them have potential. There's some things in this game that need to get fixed. One of them being the anti-airs. This game is about... Someone's mic is echoing in the back. If this game is supposed to be about neutral and footsies like how NRS advertised, they need to add anti-airs. Every character should have consistent anti-airs. Not saying every character needs to have full combo anti-airs, but they should be differently based on the character's tools. But you need to be able to read a character jumping, and if you make that read and you're correct, your anti-air should anti-air them. It shouldn't just lose randomly. So the anti-airs need to get addressed. The hitboxes need to get fine-tuned. Some of the low profiling needs to get looked at. The poke system needs a little bit tweaks. I know they tried to nerf the poke system. They made like Aaron's, Gearus, like they tried to nerf the pokes. Add more frames to it so you can see like when a poke is hit or blocked so they're less mashable. The fatal blows could get looked at. The movement may need to get tweaked a little bit. Of course, the down twos, like I mentioned. They also need to look in the breakaway input. The breakaway input is ridiculous. I don't know how nobody is complaining about this, but this is one of the only games I've ever played where I'll be playing and I'll get hit by like some random ass shit, like a Cassie Low fireball, a Blue King flying kick, a Sub-Zero slide, like randomly, and I go to block and then I get a breakaway. I'm like, what? I didn't do that. And breakaway is so, like, it's not like, it's so resource intensive. It costs all your meter. To randomly get hit by a move and then lose all your defensive meter, that should not happen. That's not okay. That needs to get fixed. And also, why does the breakaway not come out when you want to do it? Never comes out when you want to do it, and then it always comes out when you don't want it to come out. That needs to get fixed. They need to change the input completely. It should not be down and block. It's too... For the move to be down and block makes it way too common for it to come out accidentally. They need to make it like flip stance and down or something. Something that you would intentionally do to wanting it to come out. And lastly, I guess they could also take a look at the variation system. If they can address all these things in the proper way, I think MK11 could be the best game that it can be. But they need to start taking the game more seriously and taking the players more seriously because we want a better game. This is like what, that 7th game in a row? I'm sorry, the 4th game in a row with no anti-airs? I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, the others, they at least had a patch where they directly buffed anti-airs. We haven't gotten... I don't think we've gotten that yet in this game.
Yeah, we haven't. That's because people haven't been complaining about anti-airs in this game.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
As a Scorpion player, I wish they were a little better.
Well, I think we have to look at the... I think Tom made a good point. We talked privately. We have to look at things that NRS is likely to fix. I mean, a lot of people complain about the variation system, but it's good to voice your opinions for the next game, but obviously the variation system is not going to change. So that's, it's kind of...
We've been complaining about that day one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not going to change. We talk about fatal blows and armor. I know a lot of people don't like that. Let's face it, that's probably not going to change because I'm sure they're going to stick with that design.
But we can't just have the mentality that, they're not going to change it. Let's not talk about any issues. Because then when they make the next game, they're going to keep having the same issues.
Well, that's what I mean. We should address it, but...
This is unacceptable. Dude, it's almost 2020. Why are the games not working how they should work?
Well, I think the one thing that can be fixed are these inconsistent hitbox issues, like Cage's force balls not hitting certain characters, even sometimes hitting them and then sometimes not. Creeping ice being jumped out of. People doing moves that literally, ignore it. Like that type of stuff, I think, is inexcusable. That's just... You can't have your character's best moves not being random on, or certainly, not working at all, against certain characters. And we're not talking about low profiling. That's not what we're talking about, because low profiling exists in every fighting game. That's not what I'm talking about.
It's not uncommon in other games.
Yeah, but we're talking about moves just, it's like the collision, the hitboxes just don't make any sense, visually. They're just randomly whiffs, and even if they do Y, that should not be that's just embarrassing. Like, no other modern fighting games has these issues, and if they do, they're almost fixed immediately in a patch. It would be like, I don't know, Hell Sweeps whiffing randomly against certain characters, EWF not launching. Again, this is unheard of, and we're talking about one of Johnny Cage's main tools. I think that to me is the number one issue that I think we should focus on, because that can be changed. It needs to be changed. No, we should not be waiting for MK11, for MK12, for the for this to be you know changed immediately. Um, for me, the anti-airs, I think it depends on the character. Like Terminator can anti just fine. Then you have Frost. I think Katana also can do a very good job at it. I understand some characters struggle. The only thing I don't want is every character being able to launch after their like after their anti-airs. I think that would be a problem. But other than that, if Aaron Black's down to randomly gets beat out, I don't think it should be like that. Um, but I fear that. I mean, if they wanted to fix this by now, then why haven't they?
Because the community isn't complaining about the issues that need to get fixed.
But we have complained about jumping since Injustice 1.
Dude, you literally just told me yesterday that the whole Twitter world doesn't even know that jump-ins are dumb in this game. Like, Twitter's behind on so much shit in this
I
game.
never said that. But here's that. Wait a minute. I mean, Tom.
Sonic Fox in pre-release was saying jump kicks were OP. They still haven't been addressed.
That's right. And even since Justice 1, I don't have to talk about MKX. I mean, that's super obvious. That was probably the worst, it's ever been. And even in Justice 2 to a lesser extent still. But to me, I think the problem is, it's not like every character problem. It just depends on the character. And again, I also don't like one anti-air, every situation. I don't want MK9 anti-air.
What's wrong with one anti-air?
Oh my god, we're not doing this.
No, I'm just curious. I want to hear your reason.
Because I think if a character is a very strong ground game, for example, like Smoke, that character, or like Karin in Street Fighter,
or like Cetrion, we can use characters from this game too.
That's right.
But anyway, go on.
I don't think that they should also have one of the best anti-airs in the game. So by definition, if you allow them to juggle you after every anti-air, you're gonna run into balancing problems. That's my opinion, as we've seen in prior games, and not just MK, also other games.
So your logic is if a character is good, has good ground footies, they shouldn't have anti-airs?
No, they shouldn't have launching anti-airs. It's a balance thing, not a it's not a.
This is a very nuanced argument about anti-airs.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's a very specific playstyle.
It's a balancing argument. It's not an argument.
We all can agree that you should have a good anti-air. That's it.
Well, again, it depends on what.
Yeah, every character should have an anti-air.
No, of course they should. But some characters anti-air with uppercuts. So characters anti with a down three. So you get anti with the with the jabs.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, I think that's what we would like.
Well, and again, I do believe, like you mentioned, Scorpion, Rio mentioned, Aaron Black. I do think that their down twos should be adjusted and have a better, have a better.
That'd be great.
We're not saying it needs to be a combo. It just needs to be something.
No, I agree with that, but then again, Rio says this has never been addressed. Of course, it's been addressed for years, and they still haven't fixed it.
What do you mean?
I'm not saying I don't think that's going to change. To me, the anti-airs are a problem, but they don't even have to be as consistent as I would like. Just even being better than they are would help. Just make them better than they are. And that would really help.
Well, I understand your point. My only point would also be is that because Rio says, nobody's complaining. Again, people have been complaining for a long time about this issue, and it still has not been addressed yet. And I don't understand why. Because I think everybody.
I'm telling you why. Because it's not enough complaining. Trust me, man. If developers want their player base to shut up and like the game, they're gonna listen to it eventually. Too many people are asking for Reptile Melina instead of asking for them to fix the gameplay, which is fine. People have they want other shit.
Yeah, but they're already aware of the anti-air. There's no way that.
Dude, I highly doubt they're aware of the anti-airs. If they were, they would be looking to fix them.
Sure, they're aware. They gotta be aware.
I think they have people working for them who believe that jumping is just part of, just part of everyday gameplay. It should be a factor, if not a huge factor.
It will
Yeah.
always be a factor, even if anti-airs are
No, I
consistent.
understand
Though.
that, but
That logic is
I'm
horrible.
telling you, I just have a feeling. I have a good feeling about this, and I'm not gonna name names, but I know for a
Yeah.
fact that that's a lot of them. That's what some of them think, and sometimes we may not like it, but sometimes it's their vision, how they view the game, how they.
So just realize that when they play the game, they're playing in a offline environment, and then most of us are playing online. So when they're playing on offline, probably they're like, "See, it's fine. Like I don't know what they're complaining about," and then the whole community's playing online. So there could be that too. Character dependent too. Some characters.
I mean, but like to me, there's a couple of things. One, the anti-airs need to be tweaked, and the thing is, these are just tweaks. It's not like they have to overhaul the system. That's what makes it so heartbreaking. Is that a lot of elements we want are present, but some things are presenting these elements from being as big of a factor as we would like. And these can be fixed with tweaks, not like, oh my God, this game is just effed, right? How are they going to fix this? They would have to fix this and that. They're tweaks. That's it. Even the balance. Tweaks. Like, you know me, Dave. I'm whatever with Gearus. I think he's dumb, right? We all think that. But what do you have to tweak? One move from 6 frames to 9 or 10? He's still dumb, only a little more fair. A tweak. People talk about Johnny Cage's force balls. They're like outtake, across the screen, force ball. How hard is it to tweak that 1 or 2 frames, right? So it doesn't matter.
Whatever happened to the hot fixes?
It doesn't matter if it's balance, no matter where you are as far as balance in the game. Everyone, I think, believes that it's close, right? For the most part. And that's what hurts. It's so close. Tweak it. The anti-airs, not consistent. They do work, but not always. But it's right there. A tweak. And they work. Some of the hitbox stuff, they did fix some of it. Few things, few tweaks, and they work. It's all right there. To have to wait for the next game, I don't know. That doesn't work for me. Because it's so close. So
Here, Injustice 2 seemed to get more hot fixes and patches. It's just me. It could be just me. It could be me.
I think
MKX definitely
I
got
think
MKX was the most patched
the
game I've
life
ever
of this
seen.
game will be tied to, or how this game goes forward into the new year is going to be dependent on if they're going to patch the game, not the early launch of Sindel, because that's the week of NEC, but the official release the week after. I think if they address some things in the game's balance, some of the collision stuff and consistency issues, I think this game explodes. If they don't, we're back to pulling teeth to find people to play because they're bored of it.
Well,
That's
I
how I
agree
feel.
with you. Yeah, I agree with you, but I do want to move on because somebody that in chat just mentioned it. I see Mind Games. If they remove forward roll, instantly better game. And I do want to move on and talk about the wake up system. Because to me, this is related right to the jumping. Because a lot of the jumping actually happens on wake up. I'm not talking about you safe jumping, the opponent who's on the ground. I'm talking about the person who's on the ground jumping. And I think that has to do with the fact that they're just too, like this wake up system. I think we all agree by now should have been an MKX. If it had been an MKX, I think MKX would have been a much better game. That's what the irony is. But I feel like, and again, I know this they're probably not going to change it, but I just don't think roll should be in this game. Like it just doesn't belong in this game. Because a lot of characters can't use their best
So what
strings.
role's a combo starter? Should probably take two defensive bars.
Yeah, maybe because a
Or
lot
one
of like.
offense, one defense.
No, that's way too severe.
Well, here's the thing: we can
Or
argue,
one
rolls are
of
fine.
each.
we can argue the specifics, but it doesn't belong in this game. I don't know whether it's just my opinion, but I just feel like there's something off about it.
Dude, I think rolls are fine. The issue is the delay wake up. That shit needs to go. Or cause some kind of
delay is
reset.
what's killing you. Yeah.
That needs to go, man. I'm so tired of hitting people with no breakaway meter, no defensive meter.
So here's the
And then
problem
they still have to guess between three options. Short delay, long delay.
I looked at I've done a lot of research on this. Okay, so what really powers the game are these wacko invincible frames that we can't remove because of how the wake up system is designed. So just from the start, whenever you knock somebody down, as they begin to rise, they're completely invincible for 20 frames. The reason for this is, one, you need frames 0 to 10 to be invincible because of how wacko throws are in this game. If you got up and were getting meatied by throws, this is why it's impossible to meaty with a high. If you got up and were getting meatied by throws, then that means if Geras knocks you down, he gets a guaranteed throw loop attempt. Guaranteed. You have no option to duck it, nothing, right? He gets guaranteed throw loops when he meaties. Characters that have crushing blows or crushing blows on both throws, they knock you down. As you get up, you are getting up into a guaranteed crushing blow guessing game. So frames 0 to 10 are there to protect you from the wackadoo throw system. Frames 10 to 20, people can say, well, let's make it 15 frames of invincibility, so at least meaties are a little better. They can't get up mashing buttons. Problem is forward roll, back roll, up 3, up 2, all happen on frames 18 or 19. So if you can hit them on frame 15, then frame 18 or 19 would never happen. They would never be able to get up. But if you make the wake up attacks come out on frame 14 or 15, there are some knockdowns, and you know this, Slips. The reason why some moves are hard knockdowns is because if you could get up right away, then you'd be able to get up and hit them before they could move off the knockdown. Things like Sub-Zero slide, etc., you would knock them down. They would get up and up 3 you before you could even move. So the forward rolls, back rolls, up 3s, up 2s must come out on frame 18 or 19 to protect you, and you don't want to wake up in the throws, so you need all 20 frames of invincibility. The problem is when you come to delay wake up, you can delay and still wake up with just as much invincibility. So someone's laying on the ground, and not only are you trying to time a meaty, you're trying to time it to go past their 20 full frames of invincibility. Now, the point of these 20 frames is so that you don't get up in the throws and so that you have frames 18 and 19 for rolls. Problem is, if you do delay wake up, what the fuck do you need frames 18 and 19 to be invincible for? You can't roll. You can't up 3. You can't up 2. But the problem is you're still getting up with that kind of protection. Because NetherRealm's philosophy is, well, you're getting up and you can't do a move, so you shouldn't be able to be hit until you can actually get a move out. You know what a move is? Delay wake up. That was your move. So you wake up, you're getting punched in the fucking face. That's what should happen. You do a delay wake up, you lose all rights, period, because of how powerful it is. But the person with doing a delay wake up still has all the privileges as someone who gets straight up, to the point that it actually breaks the wake up system rule also. The wake up system rule says you cannot chain 2 types of wake ups. Now, if you bring up wake up interactable with invincibility frames, someone will say, the wake up interactable is still part of the wake up system, although not an official wake up attack. It's meant to give you an option when you have the bar to use it, right? The problem is you can do a delayed wake up. So you can't like chain 2 wake up options together. You can't do a roll into an up 3, an up 2 into a roll, delay wake up into a roll or an up 3. You can't chain 2 wake up options together. But yet you can do a delay wake up into long delay, wake up interactable, invincibility or armor, and you're actually chaining 2 wake up system tools together. The invincible frames give you way too much leeway, and it completely breaks the long delay, short delay. If you could time a meaty, you could actually do stuff that says, all right, because then when you have all your bars, long delay, short delay, and wake up options, it's whatever. But the problem is even just long delay, short delay is allowing you to wake up buttons because people are mistiming their meaties because is it long, is it short, wake up jump, wake up buttons, and they're actually going through your move because you mistimed it because you're going through their invincible frames, which probably shouldn't exist when you already do a move, which is delay wake up. So it just fucks everything with that. And I don't know if there's a way to fix the invincible frames, So delay wake up is probably what has to be toned down.
I don't know if they, Tom. I don't know if they can fix the delay wake up and make it cost meter. I just, but they can probably fix the invincibility frames, and mess around with the. Keep in mind that how they changed the flawless block system. This is what Rio made a video about. When it was first, he noticed, that it's, how they changed, how they mess around with the frames with that. I don't know if they can make delay wake up require meter. I just.
Dude, they can do anything. What do you mean? They're programmers. They
I
can
know,
make the game
but
how they want it to play.
that's true, but
Anything is possible.
I know, but
literally.
like they can't change the variations, and that's not going to change. So maybe this is one of those things.
No, they can. But it's a lot of work, man.
Well, I don't know if they're going to go that far and change some of this stuff. But I think the invincibility frames, I think they can change that for sure. Change how you wake up and
On delay wake up. That is a move. Delay wake up is a move. Period. It's a move.
Well,
why are you afforded extra protection? You already got protection. You're laying on the fucking ground. Be protected.
Yeah.
Okay, what if you always have access to delay wake up and it's free? As long as you have one or more defensive bar. If you have no defensive bar, you don't have access to delay wake up. Is that fair?
I mean, I don't know.
That's the whole point of delayed wake up, is to have some sort of defense when you don't have meter.
But is this game really that oppressive that we need shit? Like, is this really MKX?
I mean,
the problem I don't think is delay wake up. The problem is people are getting off the ground with combos.
No shit, because the wake up system is garbage.
People, when they get knocked down, they're not looking to get up and guard. They're looking to get up and combo you.
Of course, because it's the wake up system. Why do you think you see tournament matches where people wake up buttons and jump nonstop?
Well, and it's because
wake up system is horrendous.
At the end of the day, it's really how devastating the forward roll is.
Well, that's what I said initially. The roll, like, dude, think about this. Which other game, or even NRS game, fighting game for that matter, do you whiff a basic string and you get punished for it? It's ridiculous. So that literally means you're limited to what? Backing off?
Okay, how about this? How about they don't nerf anything at the wake up, but they do this? If you hold up in this game, if you're that idiot that likes to hold up because you like to exploit the shitty ass game mechanics, how about this?
Well, holding up,
you get clipped. No. If you get hit holding up, when you hit the ground, you have to go through 30 seconds of animation before you can enter the wake up game. So that way, nobody who clips you out of air for holding up for UB -8.
Hold on.
They will recover in time, so you can't wake up, mash your buttons.
When you say, "Oh, holding up," is whatever. It's actually wrong because ain't nobody holding up on Liu Kang or Jack. Because you know why? They're like, fuck.
That's because their mids work and their mids recover quick. They cover everything.
Because you know what? They're like, this mid will bust me in the face. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, but look, here's the thing. You either fix everybody's mids across the board in strings, which would be 10 times more legwork, than just making it so if you get clipped out of the air, you have to wait a second on the ground and then you resume getting up. That way everybody can recover.
Characters actually don't even have really... I don't want to use Sub-Zero because he has a low and an overhead, right? But there are a lot of characters that don't.
I get what you're saying, man, but to fix what you're saying would be a lot of character specific work.
Like, keep in mind.
Look, I've never played a game in my life where someone could be -8 holding up. You do a string knowing you're not going to block. They get clipped and then recover and hit you. I've never played any like that in my life. It's absolutely horrendous. There are some mids in
this game. 14, 15, 16 frames, right? Highs. No, not even like super fast, right? That look mid. Nobody is like pulling the original Code. Remember Code of Com players were like, why isn't forward 2 9 frames? Because it goes half screen. That's why, dude. But it's still a mid, right? And that's okay. It's slower, but it's a mid. You have these moves 14, 15, 16, 17 frames, and you're like, oh, those are highs. But because those are your only ranged options, the minute you get in close, what do people do? Hold up. Why? Because they're like, well, if you clip me, you're not going to get anything for it.
Yeah, and they recover quick, and they're at advantage or combo you. That's the worst
thing.
So
they're like,
why is it in this game, whenever someone hits you for holding up, you hit the ground and instantly get up? Why is there no delay to it before you enter the wake up game? But do you see what I'm saying, though?
There are some characters.
When you hold up, you should get hit and then go through some animation, and then you get up.
I'll give you a great example. There are some characters in this game who, like Sub-Zero is an example. And I'm not saying Sub-Zero needs whatever. I'm just using an example because it's who I play, and I want to give an accurate statement before I say something that's not accurate with a character I'm not as practiced with. You got to say, and the dumb thing is, this is the only community you got to preface every statement because they'll try to go off the point. So, for example, if I down one somebody, they're like, well, is he really going to confirm that down one? He's got one frame to confirm it. Can humans do that? No. So I'll just hold up. Right? What does that mean?
Can humans
What does that mean? That means the 2-1 will stop him from holding up. Right? But because I'm a human, not a fucking cyborg, I can't possibly jail unless I know, like maybe a punish situation that my down one's going to hit. Right? So what happens is I down one you. If you jump, 2-1, but you'll down one me. If I go to back 3 you to stop you from down oneing me, you jump, back 3 hits, but you're airborne, you lose no damage, you get no combo. People, and that's what causes the down one, down one, down one, down one, down one, because they're like, what can you really do? I'm at no threat. People don't do that to Jax, Liu Kang, or whatever, because they're like, fuck, Liu Kang down one me. Why am I going to hit a button for? He's just going to bust me in the fucking mouth. You know? But not every character has to be caught nose to nose. But there are these ranged highs that some characters have that could be maybe a little better, made to be mid. I don't know. I mean, I look at some. You ever do Aaron Black's 2-1? The one looks so high, but that move hits as mid can be. And so help me God, that move probably hit high at one time, but NetherRealm, they said, well, Sonic Fox plays this character. We can't have this move whiff. So they make sure, right? In fact, that video Hayate made about the forward 2 or whatever it is with it.
Did your mic cut out?
You know, and I would bet my life on that. The real thing is that when it comes to things like this, it just adds to the overall system. It's like, why would I take this when I can just hold up? Why would I take this when I can just roll forward? What can you really? Things like that just add to the system, you know? I mean, MKX didn't have that because it was MKX. It was basically a walking vortex game, you know? MK9 didn't have this because mids were fucking stupid in MK9. You got, you know, a lot of characters had mids if they actually hit mid. As a matter of fact, it was so dumb that the tier list a lot of time was like, is this character a high hitbox or low hitbox, right? Oh, because if all your moves work on them, then they're fucked. But if they don't, then you might lose. Because the mids were really good. In this game, it's like you have devastating mids, characters that basically have attacks that could act as mids, like a low or something, but they're not, but they have no range. All this thing adds to the jumping, hold up, down one, down one, down one, down one, down one. You know, I mean, let alone you have a character who does the launcher that's -3 and you can always down one. What does that mean? That means you can't do any fucking mids. Even a character like Scorpion, if he's fighting these top characters, it's one thing. But if he's fighting someone with slower mids, he's going to down one, 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 until you say, you know what? I should down one back. Because his second down one's going to come out in 10, which is going to beat all your mids and all your highs. So you finally go to down one back, he backs up. And it's like, we get the strategy, we get the neutral behind it, but how fucking dumb does it look for two characters doing down one, down one, down one, down one, down one, because they can't hit each other? It's stupid. My God, man, I play Vendetta's Cage or Kerbo's Cage. We're sitting there doing down ones, down threes, down fours, because every fucking move we have is high. And the only mids we have are too slow to beat our down ones. So it's a whole match of down one, down one, down one, down one, down three, down four, down four, down four. It just ruins the entire strategy of it because nobody has a fucking mid. There's just so many things that need to be
right. Like a lot of these issues, like kind of compound into. They all like run into each other. It's like because the anti-airs are just meh. A lot of jump kits get blocked, and it goes into the down one shit. And then the wake up game, there's so many different wake up options. You either back off and don't even pursue them, or you do a really quick recovering move on whiff. So, you know, if they do a delay wake up, then, you know, you can down one. It all like comes back to.
You can't meaty with highs. So some characters have to, that's what's even dumber. Some characters, they have really good moves that are highs, but the game is down one, down one, down one. Down. What's not? You're going to do a high on Nightwolf?
Yeah.
How is a high ever going to hit Nightwolf? The character only does down 3. Right? So he's doing an 8-frame low. Fuck your mids. Fuck your highs. So what do you start doing back to Nightwolf? down three, down three, down three. He's doing down three back. Only guess what? His down three gives him 5 or 6 frames to confirm. So he jails you for free. So you don't have that problem with Nightwolf, because people can say, well, look at Nightwolf. He jails you with a high. Yes, because humans can confirm with a 5 or 6 frame window. We cannot confirm with a 1. And the more fucked thing with their system is, like I was just labbing Collector because I was playing Rebel and I was labbing what I was doing wrong. And he's got this string. Forward 1, 2. And I was like, oh, it's -7. I have a 6 frame down 1. So even if he tries to cancel with something that's harder to interrupt, like his back forward 2, or stops the string, I always get my free down 1 and then I can jail him. Oh, but the problem is I can't even fucking come out of my goddamn block fast enough to consistently do that. So sometimes I go to do down 1. I assume it's going to hit as a punish, as I've been doing. A baby can play Tekken right now. A baby. Right out of the womb. It was not umbilical cord. And while the doc was cutting the cord, punish -10 move with a 10 frame jab. Right? A baby can do it. 10 out of 10 times, right? But a grown man can't do it in Mortal Kombat. And it's like, there are situations where it would say, okay, I can stop this mashing in punish situations. I have a 6 frame down 1. You're doing something -7. Bam. I'm going to down 1 you as your punish, and now I'm going to jail you. You're not going to jump. You're not going to down 1, nothing. And now I can do my strike throw meta the same as Nightwolf can of everything, because at least I have a situation. Only you can't even get that consistently because it takes you God knows how many fucking frames to come out of block. There's all this woodwork.
Buffer window system.
You just can't apply it. Like, what the fuck does knowledge mean? Right? I could say, wow, I really labbed this. Collector, he does forward 1. Rebel was like, yeah, this move back forward 2 is kind of tough. It's an 8 frame window to interrupt. I have a 6 frame down 1. I lab the frame data. Wow, look what I discovered. Forward 1, 2. If he tries to stagger, I get the free down 1. If he does any cancel, I still get the down 1. Now people may say it's only a down 1, but because I can confirm it now, even though I have slower mids, I will jail you. And if you respect my jail, then I can throw overhead or low. Your only option to stop this is to finish your string, which is a full combo punish. You see, that's called depth. That's called strategy. And that applies to characters like Jax with his forward 3-3, 1+3, all that stuff, right? But guess what? Mortal Kombat fucks that up because they say, but can you come out of block every time? What kind of goddamn question is that? Can I come out of block every time? Why can't I? That is the fucking problem. It's these almosts that this game is full of.
Well, that issue has been around for,
why? What year is it?
No, I know. I'm not excusing it, but I'm just saying it's been there since MK9 at the very least.
It's been there since MK1, technically.
Yeah, so, before you guys, but wait a minute.
This brings me back to my point. People
they
don't complain about the clunky blocking. They don't complain about how the buffering system is too small.
The blocking system is made for 1990, not 2019.
It is. They need to fix the block.
It or get it the fuck out. It's not like, look, it's not like, well, who makes Mortal Kombat? ColecoVision. Bitch, you were made by Warner Brothers. You shit money.
Studio.
Are you kidding me?
Well, let me just say that people.
They got so much money. They got so much money. They made MKXL GGPO netcode for fun. They didn't even need to do the netcode. You know what would be fun? Let's fucking spend some cash and overhaul our whole system. We got the goddamn money. Well, can you please fix the fucking block button? You got the money for that too, dog? There are so many little
But
things.
do they have the time, though?
Well, they should.
The thing is, look, there's no way the blocking in this game should be as clunky as it is. Like, sometimes it feels like you're playing Clay Fighter. You just cannot move.
There's so many little things.
Like, some moves, like Johnny Cage's nut punch will be like -15 or 17 on block, and that shit's still hard to punish for no reason because of clunky-ass blocks.
Why is there even blocks in the fucking game?
Let me just say this, because people are saying it's the block button. Guys, Soul Calibur is a block button, and you will not...
It's not the block button, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Smash has a block button. That game is fast as
exactly,
shit. You come in a block instantly.
Either way, you can use the button for block if you want to. You don't need to.
So it's not that issue. But
It's the fact that the block button in NRS games specifically is clunky as shit. They need to fix it. It needs to be instant transition. It should not be
the
any
buffer
kind of
window is
frames.
way too small.
Yeah, and the buffer window is way too small. It needs to be extended.
Well, guess
if they want to have this clunky, inconsistent block stun all over the
Look,
place, it doesn't make
I'll
sense.
give
Like
you
some
guys
use
a
of 2
secret.
second block
I'll give you
stun.
guys a secret.
They're gonna have to address it and fix.
I'll give you guys
the
a secret.
clunkiness.
The reason for reversals is to get around their block system. How about you just fix the block system?
The reversals, it's weird that specials
You cheat a
have,
frame with the reverse.
that's so weird. That's a weird thing. Like, why shouldn't you be able to do anything you want out of block stun? Like, why only specials? Like, it's just weird. And it's only really beneficial to anyone who's got a super fast special that's
It's
like,
anything
7 frames.
defensive, but also this gives pokes the person on the offense the advantage. In a situation where 2 moves would trade, you're less likely to trade because you're coming out of block. Also, it breaks teleports. It makes teleports fucking dumb. Cetrion, right? Here's why it's not that her teleport is actually broken, but you're holding block because she can geyser you from ranges where you can't do shit about it. So you have to be blocking it. Only she's like, surprise, bitch! I'm teleported behind you. It's not really 38 recovery frames because first you got frames to turn around, frames to come out of block, and then you can do something. But unfortunately, she's able to move by then. It's the coming out of block, 1,000 frames to turn around. The problem is this game mixes 3D and 2D frame data, right? The problem is some recoveries or some animations are based on 3D data, but that move is directly going up against stuff that is using 2D frame data, which is always faster. And there's just a conflict there. I just don't understand.
Well, I would argue, Tom. I would also add that to Rio's point. That's one of the reasons why it's hard to anti-air because you're sitting there holding block.
No. So no, we be
No.
not even holding block. We're just ducking and we still.
Dude, we
No,
be
I know-
ducking
I know,
there,
but
waiting
this
for the dump,
adds,
still
like, you're
get
trying
stuff.
to play footsies. Because you're playing. Let's say you're playing Sub-Zero, whatever, and you're okay. Is that slide coming? I know it's coming. Is it coming? I'm holding down block. Oh, he jumps. I'm releasing block. Guess what? I've already lost 3-4 frames.
No,
from doing my uppercut.
that I
It's
agree.
too late. But see, that's also the other issue. It's also, I think, related to the anti-airs, not just with punishment. It goes along, with those issues.
I mean, the
too.
anti-airs would work better, not as consistent as we want.
Yeah,
they
but
would
it
work better.
would. Yeah. Let me, Rio. Why don't you bring in Dab and PaulB in right now and see what they have to say? Not just
Okay, let me bring them
My
in
friend
right now.
Paul
I'm
B,
dragging
bring
them
him
right
in
now.
because myself and Paul, we talk about this shit all the fucking time.
it doesn't have to be this necessarily topic.
Welcome, Dad. Welcome, PaulB.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this topic, but let me just kind of give them a fair chance as well to ask them what they think about their opinion about the state of the game. PaulB, if you're in here, go right ahead.
Hey guys, hey, thanks for inviting me in, and hey chat. I mean, I have so goddamn much to say on this topic. I'll try to keep it brief and concise. Like, I'll try to target the most important things. I think I know that you're asking me about the state of the game. I'm gonna sort of answer your question in the scope of like just the game in general, and not like, could they release a patch and make it better? I think my opinion at this point has become no. And I know a lot of people know me for being like kind of a troll and a little bit toxic, and that's mostly just me trying to be funny and entertain people, right? But at the heart of it, like, I love fighting games, right? And and this game, I think, could have been the game that like overtook the FGC, right? Because I think people are looking for a loyalties type game. I think people are looking for something that rewards the player more than randomness, right? Because we're getting more games like that. This could have been an opportunity for people to be like, hey, this game has footsies, and if I play smart, it rewards me. And I'm not getting randomed out by people that don't even know how to play fighting games, right? It's such a common thing now.
Before you go on, I just want to augment one thing to your point that you said that I totally forgot about. I totally forgot about this. And we brought up MK9 once before. Slips, you know this. MK9 had the most players from other communities go to it, right? It had the most players take it serious for the longest period of time. Do we agree, Slips? From like other communities. Had like, even Jop took it seriously. What the fuck does Jop ever take serious?
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just, before we get,
Hold on. I just want. This is what I want to say. The reason is, what games were out back then? Marvel 2, etc. All these comeback factors where people were feeling like they were being cheated by the game. That game made people, they were tired of that, what PaulB is talking about, and they flocked to it.
Yeah.
But that stuff is now back in Mortal Kombat, which PaulB is going to talk about now, which is why it doesn't grow.
Yeah, so I think that's a really great point. Like, I am not an player. One of my first games was Street Fighter 2 back in the arcades, and MK1 and 2 and all that shit. Like, I've loved fighting games for so long, right? But like classically, more recently, I'm not an NRS player. I thought MKX was an awful game. The netcode for me was like a no starter, right? I mean, this netcode's awful. I can't learn the game. I'm not interested in playing it, right? So like I come mostly from like KI, but I play everything, right? And I know people hear me talk about KI and they're probably sick of me like hearing me talk about it at this point. But one thing that KI really does well is it simplifies fighting games. Like you don't need to know the exact frame data to every situation because universally it's like, well, if this move is full screen, it's punishable. If it's like a mid-screen move, might be punishable. If it's an up close move, probably not punishable. Like it's very easy to understand in that game what's punishable, what's safe, right, etc. Right, and then they simplify all the fighting game concepts, and what they do instead is they make player decisions complicated. They make it so that like every situation that you're in, you have some way or some answer because you have a good tool or you have some opportunity to be a creative player and get out of the situation, right? That game is like pretty oppressive if you don't know what's going on. And you need to know like all the matchups, you need to know about the game, but you don't need to know about the nitty gritty boring stuff like all the specific frame data. So that game highly rewards player decisions and doesn't put you in a lot of rock, paper, scissors situations, right? It's about reading the other player, it's about baiting the other player, and that's largely what like the combo is about, right? So that's why I really like that game, and I think that's why that game is ultimately excellent. But what MK11 has done, and this is common with what most games are starting to do, right? If you look at Guilty Gear 2020, especially SF5, right? They market themselves on the surface as a game about neutral and footsies, which from the developer perspective is, look, we're trying to take all the bullshit out of the game. We're trying to make the game about like honest play. We're trying to make it so that when you lose, you're being outplayed, right? But what happens, and this is my guess, is in play testing, they figure out that for most players, neutral and footsies is like the hardest thing to learn about games. The downright hardest thing to learn about fighting games is, where do I stand? What button do I press? When do I take my turn? But this is only if the game does things like give you really slow dashes, doesn't give you easy ways to jump in people, doesn't give you easy ways to bypass neutral, right? And that's largely why Street Fighter 4 was such a hard game, right? Imagine starting, I'm sure a lot of you had this experience when you would play Street Fighter 4, like if you hadn't played it for a while or if it just wasn't your main game. You'd go online, you try to fight some guy who's really good, and you couldn't do anything. You couldn't jump at him, you couldn't dash at him, you couldn't press random buttons on him. The only thing you might do is like some wake up DPs, maybe a wake up ultra or super has invisibility frames. But other than that, you're not being able to do whatever the fuck you want, right? So when these developers make a game that's about neutral and footsies, they realize like, shit, look at SF5. What does SF5 have? All the characters have really essentially boring and bad tools. All their buttons are bad, right? So how did they compensate for that? They give every character an unreactable dash. That's the bypass neutral, essentially mechanic, right? Because that's the hardest part of fighting games. So to make that game accessible, they made dashes unreactable. So it's like, okay, it is a game about neutral and footsies, and you do have to play neutral and footsies. But at any time, this really shitty player that knows nothing about fighting games can just dash at you, and now he's on top of you, and you're in the strike throw mix-up game. And in that game, there's a stun bar, so getting thrown is actually. This game does the same thing in terms of game design philosophy, right? They've taken out all the quote-unquote bullshit, like MKX style 50-50s. Most characters don't have a way to open you up with a 50-50 at the beginning. And what it turns into because of that, because the tools are so watered down, is now it's a strike throw game, right? And now throw tech is 50-50. But here's the thing. Really strong characters in MK11 wouldn't be that much of a problem if they couldn't just bypass the neutral, right? And the developers are saying, and Ed Boon himself, game came out, look, we want to make a game that's more about neutral and footsies. So it's one of two things. Either they don't know how to do that, right? They just don't know what that means. They don't know what neutral and footsies style gameplay really means, or they did enough playtesting to understand that nobody actually wants a game like that because it's way too hard and it's a little boring, right? So what they do is they give you a game that is kind of about neutral and footsies. Like you can't deny that this game like on some level is supposed to be about that, right? Everything's kind of slow. You can't just get in on people for free with all like the natural tools. But some characters have ways to bypass it. Jackie has 4-2. Jackie has back 2-2 or whatever that mid hitting string is. Geras never has to play neutral because he can just do low sand and get himself 3. Cetrion never has to play neutral because she has Geyser and Teleport, right? And oh look, these are the best characters in the game, right? So it is a game about neutral and footsies, but there are a handful of characters that can just bypass them. And now it's like, okay, well, I'm playing a character that has to play neutral and footsies, but none of these other characters have to that are top tier. So it's not a game about neutral and footsies anymore. And the other thing is, and I think this is like an accessibility thing, right? People talk about making games easier so that the random scrub can just pick the game up, do stuff, and feel like they're like being rewarded, right? Like they're doing stuff, like they're actually getting into the game and actually playing, right? And that's mechanics like down 2 crushing blow. That's mechanics like fatal blow. That's
Mashing down
mechanics.
1.
The poke system, exactly, right? And this is why people don't like these mechanics. And I think it was Slip that made a really good point about saying that it's not any of these mechanics or things in isolation. It's how they coalesce into a game that just becomes way, way, way too scrambly and here's what I see all the time watching really great players play games like Street Fighter V. Go watch Snake Guy's stream. That guy's an Evo champion in Super Turbo HD Remix, right? And I think he's a top 8 placer in Street. No denying he's one of the best fighting game players of the time, right? Go watch him play Street Fighter V. It's like he just can't control it. He can't control the way that people play because anyone can just dash on you, right? His strength is I'm really good at neutral footsies and reads. But at any time, any random scrub online can just force forward. And it's like, well, that was a 15 frame dash. How do I react to that? How do I keep him out? And then he's in the strike throw mix up, which anyone can do. There's no execution barrier. It doesn't take a high level player. It doesn't take years of practice to either throw or put him in a frame trap, right? It's super easy. So what happens in MK11, it's like, I'm not the best player in the world, but like I have an Evo medal in the game. I've made top 8s at like tournaments for other games, right? Like I understand how to play fighting games. But sometimes I run into guys online that you clearly know have no idea what the fuck they're doing when it comes to fighting games, right? And it's hard to beat. And I think that is, it's not the hitboxes, it's not the poke system necessarily, it's not the lack of anti-airs necessarily. It's that when I fight guys who clearly don't know what they're doing, I struggle. And I do know what I'm doing, right? I'm not the best player, but I know what I'm doing. I know how to play fighting games. And I think ultimately, if you want to know what kills a game, it's stuff like that. And this game is designed from the ground up to be like that. You're always in a scramble, whether it's down 1. And here's the problem you guys are talking about, the wake-up system. The wake-up system, again, in isolation, it's not the roll necessarily. It's not the delay wake-up. It's the fact that, like, there's a random element there, right? You knocked the guy down. You did the right thing. You might have done, and now you have to guess on their wake up, and it just becomes another rock paper scissors situation where it's like it's not about you being a good player and being able to control the situation, you control your opponent. It's that every situation is essentially rock paper scissors. Neutral is rock paper scissors because Jackie has 4-2, Geras has low sand, Cetrion has Geyser, right? All these characters have these tools where they can just instantly hit you and be on top of you for free. So now neutral is random. The wake up system is random, whether it's you on being woken up or it's the other guy waking up. Every element of the game is random. And,
too many options, too many variables.
But here's the thing, though. It's not, look at a game like KI. Every character has like a million special moves. They can do 1,000 things. They're also entirely different. But if I knock you down, there are only a few things you can do, right? And in neutral, there are only a few things you can do. Every move that you have has some risk associated, right? Look at Jackie's, in a game about neutral and footsies, for Jackie's 4-4-2 to not be completely punishable on block makes absolutely no sense, right? Her strength is to be on top of you, right? Her staggers, that's her strength. So why does she get to do 4-2? And if you block it, she gets to like down 1 you, right? Like she should be punishable on that. That's how you balance character strengths with their weaknesses. But that's not happening in this.
Geras is the same way with his launcher.
Yeah, exactly. Like Geras' low sand should be like negative. Like any character should be able to.
It should be like negative, like Black Adam's fucking Black.
Yeah, like every character should have some way to punish that. And it's just free, right? He just gets to get It's so low effort, right? Any idiot on day 1 can do that. Sorry, I shouldn't say idiot.
No, you're right. Any fucking idiot.
Well, let me just augment on this point, Paul, because I'm old, as we all know, and I was there when things started to go from where they were to the way they are. And the biggest thing that, first of all, let me just say this. To augment Paul's point, neutral is fun. It truly is enjoyable in fighting game.
Rewarding.
In any game out there, anyone can play offense. You take the worst player you've ever seen, and he's got a YouTube combo video up doing the hardest combo of all time. Combos, things like that, anyone off the street can do those, period. But like Paul said, when do I move? When do I not move? When do I take my turn back? The mind game of baiting someone into defending their neutral ground as opposed to knowing when to back up and create new neutral. All these things work into it. There's so much complexity that falls under a blanket of such a basic term, neutral.
And let's make the point though, because I think people often mix up what neutral means. I think when you say neutral in football, people think, oh, I'm only pressing normals and I'm walking. No. Look at a game like Guilty Gear. Look at a game like KI. Keep referencing KI. KI is craziness. If you don't know what's going on and you look at the neutral in that game, it looks like MK11. It looks like people are just doing stuff, but they're not, because the risk reward in that game is properly balanced. So all the moves that are strong full screen mean you're taking a huge risk. So what that means is you're constantly vying for space because you need to get to a space where you have moves that aren't punishable, right? So that game has such a strong element, but characters are going nuts with the amount of different tools that they can use. So I want to just make the point, because people will often argue that people don't want a game about neutral footsies, because that gets misinterpreted as, well, I'm just pressing like crouch.
Yeah, I'm walking back and forward, pressing. Yeah, no, that's not what
exactly. That's not what neutral.
No, neutral and footsie is pretty much a combine of two laws: controlling space and space control. And there's so much complexity to how both of them can work and all the options and the mind games off of them, including the distances that you want to get to and be at. But like,
so how do you play that game against a character like Jackie, right? What you do is you stand at a range where you can duck or two or something like that, right? But the thing is, then it's impossible to control space.
Because back 2-2, the second part of the 2 comes out so fast you can't punish it.
Well, right, because she has the lunge punch, so you're constantly out of that. But all she has to do is walk forward like 2 steps, and now she does the other one, which is a forward advancing mid. So it's like at any time in neutral, and then on top of it, there's a block button, right? So you can't just walk backwards and block things. Anytime you're walking forwards or backwards, you're at a huge risk, right? Because these moves are all unreactable, right? They're all completely unreactable. So how do you play that very interesting new game? What's all right? I'm going to stand here and bait 4-2, whatever the lunge punch is. It doesn't matter, because all she has to do is take a step, and now you're in back 2-2 range. And now the whole back and forth is gone. It's uninteresting. It's just mitigating randomness. I said this in Rio stream the other day. This game is not about making. This game is just A, about mitigating randomness in neutral, and then B, once you get hit by something neutral, it's just mitigating guessing. It's just rock, paper, scissors.
All right,
let me augment something.
Hold on. He said a lot, and I have a lot.
Hold on, I have one thing I really want to say, and I think it's very important that everyone listen to what PaulB just said, because it's the reason why we lose players. What he said was newer players. What he said was newer players. You know, it's men. They're doing this thing where, hey, newer players don't want. Right? Well, the reason for that is because they think that this is what new players want. But the thing is, when you take a new player, because I think the logic is people think, well, I've heard neutral and footsies is something that carries through. Even if in a game like Mortal Kombat that doesn't keep very much legacy curve from one game to the next, because it's a pretty much new overhaul of the system. Knowing how and when to play neutral, once you learn it and get good at it, is very easy to transition from one game to the next. However, new players think that's not fair. Why should you have that advantage? The problem is, once they get good at the game, then they say, you know what? I want to be rewarded too for my time and my neutral and my. And even though you got them into the game, once they get to high level, the ones that stick with, they say, well, this is actually what I do want. So what they do? They leave Mortal
Yes.
Kombat to a game that gives it to them.
Yes.
And this is why we
yes.
lose so many players. And this is what Paul is talking about. You think you're inviting new players in, but all you're really doing is inviting new players. And those that stick it out, get to a high level, they say, "Are there any other games out?"
That's the
Really?
that's the paradox of these like types of game design. Initially, like we said, any guy can just jump in like week 1 and will randomly hit you with crushing blows, fatal blows, all this shit. Like he's gonna hit Rio with that shit in ranked. Like, and Rio's a great player, right? But this guy who knows nothing about fighting games will probably like give Rio a hard time because of all these mechanics. But that guy might stick with the game and eventually get good and start to understand what it means fighting games. It means to be good at fighting games. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to be, wait a minute, I just spent 6 months learning how to get really good with Raiden. And every time I run into a Jackie, it doesn't matter how good or bad he is, I lose. Like, what the fuck is that? And then he's going to quit the game. Like, that's the ultimate result, is a loss of players, just like Tom was saying. Those guys will stick around until they learn what it really means to be good at a fighting game and then leave because the game doesn't.
Because sadly, the games that they're making now are geared towards casual players, and it's just never going to change until later. We have to no. These are facts. These are facts. They're gearing the games to. PaulB just said it. Even with the Street Fighter V reference, they're making the games easier for players who can't compensate because it's too hard for them to learn. So here's the easy button. Boom.
But you know what happens in these situations? There are still a handful of players that can control that randomness and that craziness, right? In this game, it's like Sonic Fox, it's Dragon, it's Kombat, it's Ninja Killer, right? But everyone under those elite, highest level players, it's a wash. Like, everything beyond the top 8s, who the fuck knows, right? You got people who generally do well going out in pools, right? The same thing happens in Street Fighter V. Like, even Tokido, who's like the most consistent player in SF5, along with Punk, will sometimes lose in pools, right? Like, this stuff happens. And it's like, if you're not at that highest level, the game becomes super random for you. Brian F is a good example that I always make in Street Fighter. That guy is one of the smartest fighting game players you'll ever see. If you watch his stream, he breaks every situation down. He knows the game frame data, like number by number, right? The dude is, and he's also a good player on top of having like that technical knowledge, right? But every time he goes to a tournament, it's just a wash. He could make top 8. He could make top 64 or top 128. It's just a complete wash because he's not at the highest, right? And that, for like everyone except those guys at the top, it kind of ruins the game for them. It's like, dude, I'm a good player. What the fuck is going on here? Why can't I beat Joe Schmo bag of donuts in pools? Like, what's going on?
But see, the guys at the top, what they do is say, okay, what characters are anti-neutral? We'll just play them. And then we have this illusion of balance.
Dude, well, hey, that's the thing.
ECT.
Tom, hold on. I gotta
Top
say
16 had 8 Gearuses. Half of the top 16 was one fucking character. Why?
Tom, the history of fighting games, and PaulB, you referenced Street Fighter Turbo, or one of the initial Street Fighter games, is to literally not play neutral. Why do you think old Sagat was that good, or Dalsim, or Boxer, or Claw? Because they did not have to play their game. Claw was jumping on the fucking screen. Dalsim was hitting you half screen away with his limbs.
And you might
was dashing.
put a clone back in the game then, Dave, if we're going to do that.
Tom, you bitched about the neutral. That's how you got your top 8s, fool. That's how you got your top 8s. And you bitching about...
I got mine with fair and balanced moves.
People want that. No, people don't want the neutral. What the fuck are you guys talking about? People don't want to play neutral because it's hard.
Top players will always pick the... For Christ's sake, I won a major once with a character that can finish in a few months. Like, that's what you do, right? Because we're competitors and we win. That's not the problem. The problem is that you need to give all players the ability to feel like their decisions matter. In a game like this, it doesn't feel like what I do matters. I go into ranked and I fight guys that clearly don't know how to play fighting games. It's their first game, or they just want to go and do stuff.
First of all, nobody at a tournament is ever getting random out in MK11. The results have been extremely consistent for the most part. When was the last time Sonic?
I don't know, man. I heard last tournament Rewind lost to Random Aaron Black player.
Okay, you're talking about.
That's what I heard.
We're talking about those elite players don't get randomed out, but everyone else kind of does. It's a wash.
Well, maybe everybody else is not that good. How about that? Have you?
Well, they're not as good. That's absolutely true, but they're still really good, and that's the thing. But
Well,
it's
apparently
like-
not good enough.
You guys are arguing player level compared to the game design. Like, yes, even in a game like Dive Kick, someone could be a top player in that. Could be
Bottom line
consistent.
is, you don't make.
It's two
selling
different
point
things.
was-
Anybody could be good at any game. The game could literally be Marvel vs. Capcom 2 broke as fuck. Someone could be consistent and good
Of
at it.
course.
That doesn't
Let
matter.
me see
You guys
two
are arguing
one-touch kill characters.
competition with how the game is.
They were
I li-
characters
I-
one-touch kill. You did.
I literally
But-
forgot how to play neutral.
But guess what? I didn't watch any Marvel 2 combat casts where it was like the intro was like ba-da-ba-ba-da, return to footsies, ba-da-ba-ba-da, neutral is back. You know, that was the selling point. We're like, all right, neutral, tweets, return to footsies,
That means
return to
nothing.
footsies,
It
return to
means
footsies,
nothing.
return to footsies.
How many? They said New was gonna be out zoning. New is like a footsie rushdown character.
But the
They
bottom
said-
line is,
It
it's
said
look,
Shao Kahn was the next Doomsday. What? Why are
at
you
the
guys
end of-
taking
at the end of the day, for me,
They're trying to make money, dude. Like, what are you guys talking about for real? Like, it's a selling point.
It's all about it's
No,
cash
no.
grab. It's a total.
let me ask Paul B a question, because would you agree that the foundation for what we actually want is there in this game? That it is correctable? Do you agree?
Yeah, that's like one
No,
of the. That's one
It
of
needs
the,
to be way better. This
100%,
game needs to be way
100%.
better than
Hold
it
on,
is.
let me answer. Go ahead, Paul.
That's one of the first things I said when that I think somewhere in here is the foundation of what they were trying to do initially with these things, and then they added layers of mechanics on top of it that just completely ruined that experience. So yes, I think the answer to your question, Tom, is yes, there, but the answer is that they literally have to change everything. They have to change crushing blow. They have to change the poke system. They have to change the throw system. They have to change fatal blows. Like, they have to change literally
Wait,
the whole
when you
game.
say how would you change the throw system?
Well, I don't think throw tech should be a guess ever in a game where strike is so strong.
So
Like,
you
that
want
doesn't
the
make
game
any sense.
literally? So you want the game literally like? So you don't want any moves that like reach outside of footsie's range. You don't want the throw games to be 50-50. You want 100% consistent anti-airs. So you literally like want a game that's.
Wait, I didn't say any of that. All I said.
Well, that's what you're
throws-
inferring. That's what you're literally inferring.
No, no, I'm not. What I'm saying is,
You 100% are.
you asked me about the throw system, and my answer is that I don't think throw tech in a game where strike throw is so strong, where you're getting thrown 4 times a match, sometimes by Kung Lao or more. It should be a guess, right? I don't think that's true. Like you should
Throws
have an
are-
opportunity to know that it's being thrown and to tech.
Then high level players will never get thrown ever. It will be extremely rare for them to get thrown because they already.
Wait. They would never get thrown because of why?
Because if there's no 50-50 on the throw, then why would ever they get thrown? Because you can react to throws.
Okay, then how about this? How about they get rid of you have to not block
Nobody
and
can
keep the
react to
50-50?
throws. Nobody can react.
No,
to
Hondo.
making
what?
a read.
What game are you playing, dude? Like everybody can react to throw, even though I fucking get it. And I'm
No, you can't react to throws and
Dave, this game has a term called auto shimmy,
you can't react to throw in this game.
where someone
can't
walks up to you and does a
react-
jab
That's
string and
true.
it hits you because you think it's a
certain
throw.
strings you can react to because they look like throw animation, like the jab, like the auto shimmy strings. But everything else, for the most part,
Dave, how fast is a throw in this game?
10
I think
frames.
it's 10 frames.
Can't react.
You can react
No.
to 10 frames. Do you know what average human reaction time is, by the way?
Have
So
you
like-
ever played
so is it like
Tekken? Have you
19?
ever played Tekken in your life? People react to that all the time.
They're
Tekken's Tekken's throws are way slow.
You're also
No,
you're able to
10
Tekken
frames.
Tekken while blocking too,
No,
Dave. There's a big difference. You don't have to like go
Tekken-
block the Tekken.
Giant
Tekken.
swing in Tekken is 10 frames. Shining Wizard is 10 frames.
But the
A lot
animation,
of your-
animation in which you're grabbed and before it actually
You have a bigger window to break
Yeah.
the throw also.
Yes,
I don't
the
know
throw.
if I don't know if that's true.
That's what it is. The throw animation
not.
happens in. Hold on. The throw animation in Tekken happens, and then there's a window where you can tech, and then it happens. In games like Street Fighter, this game, even KI, the throw is like 5 to 10 frames, but the window that you have to tech is way smaller than Tekken. It's way smaller. And that's why in those games it's a read. In Street Fighter, every time you see people teching, that's a read, even at the highest level. That's why shimmies and that's why shimmies are so strong. That's also why shimmies are so strong in this game. And that's why auto shimmies exist, because the beginning of a lot of strings for some characters look like a grab. And it's a situation where it's like, okay, he's next to me and he just pressed the button. I think I'm taking a read on a tech, but it's actually the string. But you're not reacting to the string or the throw tech. You're mostly just reacting to the situation. You can't react to grabs at all, really. I don't think in this.
No, I think
too
you can do it
fast.
consistently, except with the exception of those, some of those auto shimmy strings that admittedly you cannot. But my bigger question to you is: it seems like you want a game that's like 100% honest, whereas that's not.
I never said that.
I
I
know, but
told you
that
I came from Killer Instinct. Have you ever watched that game?
Killer
yes.
Instinct is ridiculous. Yeah.
That game is not honest, dude, in any.
Some of us were there when they made it. Believe me.
Well,
I
here's
know.
the thing. Here's the thing too, though. Real quick to reflect on that. Like that's why so many MK9 players jump to Killer Instinct because of the staggering similarities and how good of a game it really was. You may continue.
Yeah, so no, my point was I'm not looking for a game. I think honest games are probably boring. I'm just looking for a game that makes player decisions and isn't highly random, right? I don't like games where most of the time it's just rock, paper, scissors, right? When I fight Garrus, I feel like I'm in a guessing game the whole time. In neutral, it's a guessing game. Like, is he going to do low sand? Should I commit to do anything? Right? And then as soon as he does low stand, I'm in a guessing game because it's strike throw, right? I never feel like I can outplay the other guy. I never feel like I can make a creative.
Dude, I just find it funny. You have people saying that you're able to react to 10 frame throws, but these people can't even react to Kotal Khan's 14 frame throw. Get the hell out of here.
Well, let me ask you a question, Paul. The throws not being a 50-50, you might as well throw that in the trash. That'll never happen. I just tell you right now from Paulo.
Yeah, we've kind of been stuck with the shitty throw system ever since MK vs.
But
DC. So you
besides
can
the
think
throw
that game.
system, things that you think are feasible fixes to make the game better and more enjoyable, without saying back to formula, right? What?
I've thought hard about that, honestly. Like, I know everyone sees me talk a lot of shit. I can't think of a single thing. Like, yeah, if you just change the point system, it'll be way better. I can't. Like, I think the game is just fundamentally built to be highly random.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think a problem plays into that the strikes are 3D frame data, but the jump speed is 2D frame data?
I'm not even really sure. You mean like slow, like normals and stuff like that are generally pretty
The
slow?
normals are the speed of Tekken normals, but the jumps are the speed of like Street Fighter jumps.
Look, I mean, that's an easy problem to solve. You can make down twos just have upper, so their hitboxes are like way shorter, right? So that you can be a little late twos. But the thing is, Tom, they want people to jump. That's what they want.
Exactly what I said. They're gearing the games towards casuals. Like it's just.
But I feel like you can gear a game toward casuals to solve, but give them a better end game as far as like once you get here, you have options to play at a higher level.
I honestly think you could gear a game towards the competitive player, and they'll still make money because everyone's gonna buy it because it's just Mortal Kombat in general.
That's right. But that's actually what they're trying to do. This whole like, it's actually a fallacy that they're designing the casual. I know what you mean by that, but they're not, right? Because like you said, they're going to design a competitive game, right? And then they're going to like do some variation. Like I'm not saying scrubs, casuals. They don't want to be competitive. They don't care. But the thing is, like the game, like you said, it doesn't matter if there's 50-50s in the game. Like, casuals have no clue. They're never going to learn how to block even things that aren't 50. They're never going to memorize all the strings. They're never going to learn how to throw tech. They're never going to learn how to play neutral. That stuff doesn't matter. You could give them anything as long as Sub-Zero and Scorpion were in it. It's
oh my God! Tell them, please. Tell them. Yeah.
But so that's the thing. It's not that they're designing a game for casuals and in the end comes out this thing that's like half casual, half competitive. It's not. They're trying to design a competitive. They're just failing at it. And the thing is, it's because they're trying to design a game where they think the guy who picks it up on the weekend will be like, you know what, I want to get serious about this, keep playing it, right? So that he can go into ranked and do random crushing blow, random fatal blow, all this stuff. Like, oh my God, I just hit Rio with all this shit, I almost beat him. And it's like, well, yeah, but what did you really do, right? And they think that sort of like positive reinforcement will keep them in the game and keep them playing long. And it might, but then when they understand what it means to be a good player, and then they're in that situation on the opposite end, they're going to be like, well, shit, I actually don't like this because I just spent a year learning how to play fighting games and I'm getting randomed out by guys that don't know what to do.
So I think, Paul, I think that's, again, none of the elite players is getting randomed out. I think that's an absurd, inaccurate, crazy statement to make because we see all of the guys that usually place top 8. If they were getting random down, then why are they still placing top 8? Because they're the best players who have found ways to make the game work for them. Whether it's
Dave, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's 8 guys out of a.
it's not just 8 guys because it might as well be 16 or 32 guys because sometimes it flips around. But
top 32 in this game is not. After top 8, it's a wash. And
again, it's time.
And it's not. And the thing,
Dave, you do realize with your logic, you can say any game is not random because there's consistent top placers.
Okay, then how do you judge randomness? Like what? Because somebody in pool.
You look at the game. Is Gears doing a low sand trap? Is that kind of random or is it not?
I judge randomness because I have I have one major.
Literally, if we take Dave's logic, that means there's no fighting game ever created that is random because there's consistent placers in every game.
Right, that's not a good metric, right? Unless
you're comparing
unless it was
player skill level with how the game is. That's 2 different things, Dave. There are people that are good at games, and then there's how games work. There's 2 different things. Anybody could be consistent and good at any game. That doesn't mean the game is less neutral than other games, and vice versa.
Well, first of all, and no NRS game has ever.
I didn't miss that. What did you say about Sub-Zero, Paul? I
didn't say shit about Sub-Zero.
I thought you said something, and I was like, "What? What's wrong with
Sub-Zero?" Relax.
Yeah, relax. No NRS game has ever been about footsies. Nor will it ever be. So
yes, that's why we were hyped for this game because we were finally going to get that, and it didn't end up being that.
Tricked and fooled into believing it.
Footsies doesn't matter, dude. It's not what's wrong with this game.
It's not
what's wrong with this game.
It's the rewards.
The risk reward's all fucked up. The balance is all fucked up, and it just feels
like
literally Geras is the literal epitome of risk versus reward. I'm gonna do a launcher, which you can block, but once you block that launcher, I could do a launcher to another launcher. Now that's unsafe, but if you stay there, I keep my turn. You can back up. Or you can poke me afterwards, but I'm gonna launch that. Or you can back up, or whatever, or or you can try to do a poke right away. That's maybe like a slower move, but I'm always gonna down 1 you, which is gonna force you back to down 1, which is gonna get you launched. You can do nothing and back up and bait that, but then I'm just gonna forward dash and do a double launcher and launch you. So his rewards are launcher, 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 launcher. Your reward is down 1 throw. Let me get this straight. You're doing 40 to 50 when you hit me already. So you're already winning. So you can guess wrong 5 times, guess wrong twice, and I lose? That's the problem.
I do think that giving every character mid would be a decent way to improve.
Giving every character a what? You went out.
Giving every character a relatively fast mid so that in situations against Geras, like you just mentioned, like I'm a Scorpion player, right? So what do I do against Geras? I let him do a string that he could do low sand, he could do the grab ender, he could do like a million things, right? And then after I'm done blocking it, I down 1 because I don't want to get down 1. My turn's over. He might flawless block it, he might grab me, right? Like that's all I can do is down 1. Because if I try to do anything else, it's a huge risk. If I try to do back 1 and he down 1s, I lose. If I try to do 4-3 and he down 1, I lose. If I try to do
back
almost
up to make it, I'll play devil advocate.
Yeah, I could, but that's all risk, right? What I'm saying is like I don't like playing risky. I know people like will joke or maybe not joke when they see me play and say that I'm crazy, but I actually try to play super super safe and like not risky. That's just generally
you can't. Unfortunately, you can't do that in this game.
That's right. That's exactly right. You have to
force you to. But the problem is, it makes 2 characters go at each other. And the risk reward is so drastically shifted to the other character.
That's right. That's right.
You're like, what the fuck? Yeah, like for example, we bring up Geras. We don't have a problem with what he's doing. The problem is the end result of everything is launcher, which you lose 30 to 50. Your reward is
down 1.
Down 1 or throw.
Yep, and that's a huge risk because throw's a huge risk with.
And the problem is you can't condition him or play a mind game because his logic is, I don't give a fuck. I'll guess wrong 10 times in a row and make it all back once. You can't. It's like playing poker with somebody, and they're playing for free, and you're using your money, and you're like, I call your bluff, right? You're like, what are you? I'm all in. Well, how about now? All in, and you're like, fuck. What if I'm wrong? I'm losing my money. Of course, you're all in. You don't ever lose. That's the problem. The Geras play, or in general, I don't want to single out Geras, but in general, you have situations where somebody's playing for free, but you're using your money. and it makes it hard to make a read because the consequences are so imbalanced in certain scenarios. And that's the real problem.
Yeah, Foxy, Scorpion can back. Yeah, that's an option that I often Gears players is like, oh, I'll just backdash here. But you know what happens? Well, that's a huge risk also, because if backdashes in this game are kind of risky, right?
And that Foxy Grandpa is one of the biggest fucking problems. Oh, that's the problem. Just do this.
No, I mean, it's fair.
But we're talking about risk reward here.
That's right.
It's heavily against you.
What is the risk for backdash?
Yeah, I would like to see you backdash when Garrus just does jump body splash after his string.
By the way, guys, did you know that backdashing in this game triggers counter hits and crushing blows before dashing does it? Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, I love that.
What is that about? Why is backdashing put you in a counter hit situation before dashing doesn't?
Because it's the Street Fighter V design philosophy. Oh, you tried to get away and constantly doing something and taking risk here, you're getting punished.
I know exactly what will save the game. And it has to do...
It's not about saving this game. It's about us making sure MK12 is a really good game.
Imagine having to backdash when it's actually supposed to.
Your mic cut out. You guys got to fix your mic.
He said, Vanilla Ice Cream, he says, imagine having to backdash when it's supposed to be your turn. That's the problem.
Right. Why am I getting mixed?
Right. And Fox and like to Foxy, like, you're my boy, man, but like, come on, man, you can backdash. Like, it's like, honestly, man, like, I have nothing against Foxy. He's one of my, closest friends, but like, you're one of the top players, of course. And it's like they see you say stuff like that, and then like when we're like saying stuff like, yo, this like needs to be addressed, and they're like, oh, well, Foxy's the top player, he's doing good. Like, oh, just backdash and you'll be fine.
Actually,
you have to understand, because the top players, they feel the same way that we do, but they just don't say it because they are a face. Like they can't say it. And this is just the truth. This is the truth. It's just
Slips, go ahead. Slips, go ahead.
So, like, what is the consequence for backdashing? Okay.
Well, he has to do another. He either has to splash
a double launcher.
If you backdash after that string, Gears is just gonna do jump body splash. Like, then you're back into the same situation again.
I know,
dash
but
a 4-2-1-2.
again, that to me,
like, okay,
to me, the 4-2-1-2 is just neutral after it.
Let me give you a good example. I watched Foxy play Slayer the other day. They played a set. Foxy was in the corner. He was up literally 99%. Slayer was on last breath. Foxy had a full life bar. Foxy never got to hit another fucking button. It was jump, da-da-da-da, 4-2-1-2. Foxy goes to backdash. Slayer, body splash again, throw. Right? Backdash again, 4-2-1-2. Foxy goes to poke. Down one, throw. Jumping again. It was a series of body splashes, 4-2-1-2s, and throw for 99% of his bar. And Foxy's whole thing was, that's so stupid. He'll say that privately, but publicly he'll say, oh, yeah, just backdash, right? Didn't work out for you, though. And that's the problem we're talking about. That's stupid. And that scenario happens more often than you backdashing and getting the punish.
And I'm not even shitting. And I'm not even shitting on Foxy. That I'm just saying, like, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
I know, but he's got a point.
How is a character doing launchers?
Okay, bro. Like, here's the thing. M2 Dave.
Scenario. What? Is that really the problem?
It's not the problem. Can we please get Foxy so I can agree with somebody in this fucking podcast and feel good about myself? Like, all you guys are just spewing bullshit this whole fucking time of Gears. With Foxy's right all along. Why am I beating King and King Jr. with my katana and I'm fucking washed up? And you guys telling me, oh, backdash doesn't work. Of course it fucking works. Why would
because you have a move that gets rid of the up two. One of the biggest part of his metas.
What move?
It has nothing to do with a backdash.
You're down 3. You're down. Dave can count. What Dave is not telling you is.
Do it against thrown.
No. What Dave is not telling you is his character gets to take his turn back with no risk.
How?
You're down 3. It beats out his mid, beats out his down 1, and if he tries to flawless block up 2, it doesn't work on you. So you force him to block after and you get your turn back because of your down 3. And because of your down 3, now that you forced him to block, now you can throw or do something else. Not every character has that option.
It's rewarding too. I bet.
No, wait, hold on a minute. First of all, if he does forward 1,
Dave, are you really defending Gears?
I'm not defending it. I'm just telling you.
You literally put a scenario out there.
He's saying, get good, scrubs.
No, I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying if he does forward 1, 2, forward 2-1 rather. I'm sorry, and you do down 3. Yes, it beats the hit. But if he does forward 2 and to throw, it's still a 50-50 mix up. Down 3 is not saving you.
No, we're talking about not a stagger day. We're talking about he does forward 2-1-2. You block it. What Dave is not telling you is, while the rest of us humans, when we poke, the reason why we backdash instead of poke is because we don't want to get hit by up 2. You don't have that. You block forward 2-1-2, you're going to down 3. Gearus' only option is either get hit by it and block it. He doesn't have the option to jump it, down 1 it, forward 2 it. If he tries to flawless block up 2, it goes over you and you get a full combo.
What?
And because
That's not even true. He can flawless block down 3 and do up 2. What are you talking about? That's not even true. The only thing, from what I understand, that he can is what Rio mentioned is maybe Aaron Black's down 3, but he can speak for that. He knows the matchup. I don't.
he can't do it to Jade's down 4. He can't do it to Kodo.
No, he can do it. All I'm saying is, guys, if I can do it, then so can you. Like there are.
Hold on,
They're
guys.
like going down.
that's
Guys, Cabal was fine.
That's a
If I
little-
could
that's
beat
a little-
Cabal with Sub-Zero, surely you should be able to do it with Kung Lao. It's a dumb logic. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Guys,
all characters.
I think we're also getting a little too down in the details here with this thing. Like
if you
yes, there are
problems with the game, it's not the post 2-1-2.
Yeah, right.
No, it's not. We're using Gearus as the example, but Gearus is not the problem.
That isn't.
Are there answers in that?
Gearus example?
Yeah,
Gearus
there are characters that has
has
Gearus. We're using an example of the reward is so
taking the best one in
overwhelming
the
on
game.
one side.
You can't take the best one in the game and be like, "See, this is the problem."
No, I'm just using it as an example. There are other examples of this where the risk rewards are not evenly balanced.
Well,
across.
it exemplifies the problem with the poke system, and that maybe more characters should have a faster.
I was the MK9 poke system better than
It
this?
exemplifies the problem that Gearus can flawless block up 2 pokes. How about that problem? That's not a problem.
Well, no,
at
that's
MK
not.
level.
You're simplifying it. That's not the only problem in that situation.
But it's no. If you
I don't want to
remove
bring it
that-
up again because we just talked about it. For
No,
like
I understand
hours.
that, but if you can't
Yeah,
launch
the-
some low pokes, then it will be fine. Like that's it. Like what else
The
is it to
bigger-
say?
The bigger question is, what can we do as a community, like constructively, to get the developers to make this a better game? And I think we've all kind of agreed to like, except maybe Dave, and that's okay. He has a
But
different.
the problem is you
opinion,
can't be
but, like,
constructive because if you're constructive, you're considered a hater.
You're a
well,
hater.
hold on,
You're
hold
a
on. I
hater
think-
and get good and drop the game. Like
Well,
that's
Slips,
I
you
mean,
were there, right? Myself, for you, and Slips. We were testing Mortal Kombat X. Denzel, this was his first time as a tester. Remember this, Slips? Denzel was afraid to say something in the beta was broken because he was worried about being called a crybaby. And we were like, Denzel, it's the beta. We all know it's broken. You can say it. Even as a tester, people were afraid to say something was overpowered because, well, I don't want to be the guy crying about the game. This is
I know.
what we do.
I think that there is like people who
We complain a lot.
like. There are people who complain a lot. You know, that's a personality thing. I'm-
Complaining and constructive criticism are two different things.
They are, but I think some people don't know how to like walk that balance finely. Like I kind of don't, right? Because when I have complaints, it sometimes sounds like I'm just like whining or whatever. I have a hard time like making my opinions constructive. Tom, your mic is back.
But I am, but there's a big difference because some guy sitting on their couch scratching his balls right now didn't spend half their life traveling around the fucking world playing fighting games like I did. So if I'm a little more passionate than you smelling your fucking balls on your couch, it's because I lived this. I gave my life to this. You didn't. So yeah,
I did
I'm a
that.
little
I did.
passionate. If I
Yeah.
look, when it comes to
okay
smelling
to
your
be
balls on the
passionate.
couch,
It's fun.
they're probably more passionate than me because that's their life. When it comes to playing fighting games, that's my life. Okay, I've lived this life.
Right,
Okay.
me too. I used to spend $1,000 to fly to a tournament to make second place and win like 200. Like, yeah, like I get that, right? I
that
understand.
used to
that.
be
And
what
that's-
it was all about.
Yeah, and it's because it's not about that, right? It's just about the game and the love for the
'Cause
game.
the game
Yeah,
is
people
good.
you may call me a hater, a crybaby. I gave half my. Let someone at NetherRealm tell me I'm a hater or I'm not being whatever. I didn't give you my money. More than that, I gave you my fucking life. From 1992, 91 till now, so much of my life was spent playing games. And you don't
Crazy.
think I like it?
That's passion, man. It's
What-
passion and love.
What else could I do? You made a game called MKDC and I'm in California to beat 19 people. Obviously, I love your games. This is why I'm so much more passionate about this debate, because I love these games.
But if you want the developers to listen and take you seriously, and trust me, because I had this experience with Iron Galaxy, right? As soon as any emotion goes into it, they just don't want to listen because they think you're being unreasonable, even if you're saying things that are important. So all I'm trying to do, and I know because I'm at fault for this as well, it's like we need to find some way as a community to be constructive about what we think is wrong with the game, because I think Slips and others mentioned this, like the guys at the top, and don't take this the wrong way, right? Like some guys, what they have going for them is like they're really good at a game, right? And they are sponsored and they have a good reputation with the developers. And it's like if you take that away from them, what do they have, right?
Nada.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Everyone's got their hustle or whatever, right? So they're afraid to say stuff. Just like the example with DJT, like he's afraid to say stuff because he doesn't want to be called a crybaby, or maybe he thinks he's going to get fired from the team, even though his literal job is to test the game and provide feedback. And I think a lot of people have that experience because it's like, wow, this is a really big opportunity and I don't want to fuck it up, right? And I want to keep it and I want to keep these relationships good, so I'm not going to say anything. But we need those guys in those positions to be like, hey, here are the things that I think are wrong with the game, without being able to jeopardize their relationship with the developers, right? They should be encouraged to do that. And when it's just us, or like I'm not even an RS player, when it's just you guys, like it has to be constructive, or else they're just like, oh, they're being crybabies, right? Like we have to figure out how to do that, because then if we do it and the developers start listening, maybe the top players will be like, well, shit, maybe if I'm just constructive, I can also speak out about what I don't like about the game, and maybe they'll listen instead of me feeling like I'll be outcast or I'll lose my opportunities, right?
But
Yeah,
Paul, like
I see
some
that.
of this, some of the stuff, like the anti-air thing, like dude, come on, like we've hammered this, we've beaten this thing to death. I mean, I don't know how many times we can beat it.
But like
anymore.
PaulB said, it isn't just the anti-airs, it isn't just the pokes.
I know, but Tom, it's just an example though, because we've been complaining about the anti-air since Injustice 1, and then in MKX, and then Injustice 2, and now this game. Like some stuff, obviously they don't care, they're not gonna fix. Like, can we just be real about that? Like,
I said that like I said
So
that like an hour
we should just
ago.
accept things for being bad because they're not going to fix it?
Justice
No.
2, the anti-airs were good.
I mean, but there was still like stupid stuff that you couldn't anti-air. Like, I'm sorry, like Catwoman's jumping too. Like that move was just obnoxious.
I mean, yeah,
Like,
there's like special exceptions, but
You
in
could
general,
backdash though.
I know that you had options, but I'm saying if you want this pure footsie quote unquote fighter that people want, then you're not gonna have it from NRS. Like you just have to accept that. Go play Tekken, but even Tekken has bullshit. Like,
So your solution is we should just
don't
go play a
mind
different
bullshit.
game and
We understand-
leave
we
NRS.
understand
That's what you're saying.
bullshit. But the problem is, again, at the end of the day,
Is your solution really that we should stop playing NRS games and go play
No,
something
I'm
else?
not
Really?
just
I'm
at the
not
end of the
saying-
day,
I'm
they're
saying-
just things that are just the risk reward is just a little too heavy, more so on one side or the other. And these are things that they're not going to make this perfect, right? No game is.
Yeah, that's all. I don't want
Because
them to
just
like
because
deconstruct the
it's
game
because
and
life
fix all
isn't
these
perfect,
problems.
so it correlates.
Yeah, but I don't like. For me personally, like I'm playing the game. I'm trying to have fun with it. It has good netcode. There are people playing it online. There's a ranked system. Stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need them to completely make it what I want it to be. I just need the things that are glaring problems to be fixed. Like characters like Gearus, Jack, they're just way too strong. And it's like if I don't play those characters, I like kind of almost auto lose when I run into them.
Cetrion as well.
So hard. Yeah,
Well,
it's like I would like to be able to pick whatever character I want.
Well,
and
Paul,
have it
Paul,
play
I
into
think the problem with Scorpion is, and and I understand, you and Slips, it's not easy, but I think like once they nerfed the teleport, because you could use that to punish, pokes, low pokes especially. He has naturally, like, his mids are slow. Like it just comes down to that. Like he doesn't have any fast
But
mids.
even system things, Dave, like you brought up, the anti-airs and the block button, take Cetrion's teleport because you have to be blocking and there's frames to turn around and block. She does something you have to guard, does an up-close teleport. It's not that she's per se broken, but by the time you come out of block and your turnaround frames, she might as well be able to move first. And it's not that the teleport itself is OD, but that is. So you got to do something. If you're not going to fix the block, you got to take that.
Some of the characters are just privileged, and if they did fix just that, I would be pretty happy for a while. Like, just make it so that like I can pick whoever I want. Like, good luck picking Raiden, right? You're just gonna get stomped by most of the cast. Like, just make it so not just me, but so that anyone coming into the game, right? Isn't that good for new players and accessibility for a Joe Schmo bag of donuts to be like, I like Raiden, I'm going to pick him, and doesn't get immediately stomped by everyone even after he learns how to play fighting games?
Let me give you another good example of the risk reward. Raiden, back 1-2, unsafe. You can cancel for a bar with your back forward 3, also unsafe. Thanks for the bar too. Back 3-1, his low. Flawless back 3 is not safe. Back 3-1 has a flawless block gap. That you can actually combo without using up to. Flawless block into a jab punish. His teleport can be punished. Obviously, I mean, we're not condoning an OD teleport or anything like that. His back 1-4, not only is it -14, but just in case you want to be fancy, you can flawless block that too. If you want to let him know, I'm so fancy, I'm going to flawless block you and punish you, even though I don't need to. It's like they wanted to make sure that this worthless move gets punished. Like, you know what? Give it a gap and make it full combo punishable.
No, one step at a time, man. Just balance the game.
Like, and it's
okay
like,
with that.
how do you go from that?
I know exactly.
How do you go from that? Or here's his new variation, Joe push. And look at this staff. Oh, cool. You know what? I can knock him down, put this staff down on wake up. You want to mash? I got it. Oh, but the staff attacks in the invincibility frames that we knowingly put in the game, so it's useless. What is going on here? A Raiden player looks at that, and then let's go back to Geras. Flawless black gaps? No. You know, like all this stuff, and you're like, why? Why? What is so whatever about Raiden or Cetrion or that Cetrion and Geras and Jackie and whatever? Like, why? Why are you so? And it's almost like a character like Raiden. It's almost like, well, we have years of knowledge on Raiden, and we know where Raiden can get fucked up, right? So we're gonna be extra careful. These new characters, fuck it, let the shit hit the fucking fan, and we'll decide an MK12 will fix. But then we have to live with it for 2 years.
4 years, shit.
4 years. Fuck.
Okay, wait. Who said they had it? Who said they had a theory?
I did.
All right, Real, go ahead. I
don't think it's one person doing all the balance. I think it's different people in charge of different characters. So the person who did Geras has a different design philosophy than the person who did Raiden. That's what it
seem that way. Look, I've been a software engineer for 10 years. I kind of know how these things work from like a software development stand. No one person can do everything, right? Like shit gets assigned to different teams, like Rio was saying. Like there was probably a group of people who were responsible for doing the combat design for like Geras or whoever, right? And it's like they also need to have a session where they all get together in the middle and say like, hey, we designed a bunch of characters and movesets. Does it work with the stuff that you designed? And also, does it work with the stuff that other team over there designed? Does it all mesh well when you put it all together? And they probably game development already runs at a breakneck pace. They probably just like don't have time to do stuff like that, right? It's not about
especially
money.
when
Everyone always always mentions how much money they have, but it's not about. Companies have release schedules. They have to release the game at a certain time for certain marketing reasons, and it's like it's not about money, it's about time. And it's the same thing.
Yeah, the time is the biggest issue.
It's the same thing in my experience. We need to release features and stuff for customers, and it's like, I mean, if we could take all the time in the world, this shit's easy peasy. It's just that we have to do it on a schedule, right? And I think that's what happened in the end. This stuff happened in KI too, where it's like, I remember actually, and this is a really great example, because I remember we used to have character releases every month in KI, right? Because the game started with like 8 characters. Every month they'd release a new character. They'd do like a stream and show off the character's new movesets, right? And at one point, I remember after a new character had been out for a while and he was kind of broken on release, I remember asking the lead combat designer, who was Keats at the time, I asked him in the stream, I'm like,
TJ Combo.
Oh no, I didn't ask him in the stream. He mentioned there were 2 characters that were going to fight, and it was like two of the developers fighting. And Keats said this. He said, "Oh, I've actually never seen this matchup." And to me, that was a big red flag. Like, and I'm not criticizing Keats because I think he did an awesome job with Killer Instinct overall. But like, I think it's telling that if the lead combat designer never saw a matchup, how did that ever even make it into production? How did they ever release that, right? Because even though it might be other teams that are responsible for designing characters, the lead combat designer should, at least at some point, evaluate it. How does this character fit into the overall balance of the game? And that you can see was clearly neglected, right? They released this character without the lead combat designer ever knowing like what this particular matchup looks like. And that's how these games get fucked up like that. It's because, team
not
A
one person can do
character
everything.
A, right? Not one person can do everything, but this stuff needs to be at least delegated. The lead combat designer, that's your sort of role, is to like oversee this stuff. the lead combat designer should at some point have seen every matchup in the game before characters are released.
But that's almost, again, time-wise, it's almost...
Yeah, the reality is they don't have the time to do that because
That's
they're too
right.
busy working on the
Yeah.
game. They
That's
just
right.
don't
But
have the time
let
to
me
do
also
that.
And then
But
But that's why
simultaneously
us as
working on another
players,
game.
us as players can, help them. We can record all the hitbox
Yeah.
issues in the game because I'm sure they don't have somebody dedicated there. They don't have somebody there that has the time to go through Liu Kang's buttons on every single character, crouching and stand blocking, and write down everything that works and then report it. That's why it's our job to help them. Like, tell them, like, hey, this hitbox is fucked up. These antares aren't working. This character's broken, and so on.
I mean, we
Especially when
do
they're
it-
making another game at the same time.
Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
yeah. But I think...
We want. It's not about saving MK11 because they have other shit to do. It's about making sure MK12 is better.
But don't you guys think that the balance for this game is mostly fine? I mean, before you jump...
No.
Hold on. Tekken 7, the most balanced game ever that people claim, just had an emergency patch to fix Akuma. Raiden is like a Gigas in Tekken. Like, there will be maybe one or two bad characters. It happens. But if you watch like a stream, I understand we see the Gyruses, the Sonyas, the Jackies, the Liu Kangs, and the Sechuans, etc. But I would argue when the game was released, do you know how bad Tekken 7 was released? How bad Street Fighter 5 was released? How bad Street Fighter 4 was released? Those games were trash. This game, I mean, it was unbalanced, but it wasn't nowhere near as bad.
Oh
and
my god!
they deserve that respect. They really do.
They definitely do. And here's the thing. I know exactly what will help the game, and it's not just like one thing. And
Your mic cut
You
out.
cut out.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're talking in
Good
circles
timing.
a lot. We have, I know, right? But we are also, showing some great points and ideas, which is I love, which is constructive. I feel a big part of the game where you lose interest is you being able to get your reward on knockdown and establishing that meta of a mind game, right? So for an example, your opponent, or even if you're in a competitive player and you got to watch players, he's like, oh, this guy loves to wake up a lot. He loves to wake up a lot. So when I knock him down, I'm gonna bait the wake up, and then I'm gonna punish, or I'm gonna have an anti-option select option for like maybe the roll and their wake up, and then still punish, right? But the thing that really takes away from it is what Tom has been talking about for a while, is the invincibility frames on just regular get up and whatever. So that totally negates that mind game and that reward of you making a read. So wake up buttons, right? You're like, okay, I'm gonna option select this real quick. But wait, hold on. There's wake up buttons. Liu Kang 1, 2, 3, bicycle kick. Now you're about to go downhill real soon, right? It's just gonna happen. I think that right there is a key essential point of being looked at in order to further access the game's life and longevity, because you totally just take that out. That's why wake up jumps and wake up buttons and is actually a meta. It's not an option. It's not like, okay, well, I established this. I woke up 2 times. I've been waking up the whole game, and this guy's now gonna respect it. Let me wake up buttons now. Like, let me wake up jump now because it's gonna work. Not like, wow, it's actually a meta where like, okay, I'm gonna like wake up buttons like about 3 times because it's really hard to stuff me on meaty anyway. So let me just do a button. So that's one thing that takes away a lot, and it's kind of discouraging. Although I do that shit too because it's part of the meta. So fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Wait a minute. I want to say this, man. There's the main reason. Look, let's call it what it is, man.
I mean,
People have no resources. The main reason why it's easy pressure isn't because they don't have up 2, up 3. They don't have a forward roll. That's what it is. Because
here's the thing, though.
If you roll backwards, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I can do something that'll stop.
But here's the thing.
Damn, it's the roll, dude. Come on.
No. Let me tell you.
Of course,
Let
it's
me
the roll,
explain
dude.
to you. Let me explain to
It's
you
forward
why.
roll.
No, because if
Forward roll is
Your
an
mic cut out.
offensive option.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I think
like
it's short
getting,
delay.
it's like getting your offense back. Dude, people press button in Street Fighter 5 2 on the ground, but guess what? Street Fighter 5 doesn't have a forward roll.
Hold on, guys. I do want to make a point about.
let
Go
me
ahead, go ahead.
finish.
Okay,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Let
Okay. Okay, here's the thing though. the roles, there are option selects for a wake up and a roll, but there's not an option select for the wake up buttons. So if you're able to actually stuff the wake up buttons, then you automatically open up your options for defending towards a forward roll, unless you're
That's because the
overthrown.
option select for the wake up roll has to be there. If you took out a forward, options cover all of them.
The only reason why forward rolls should be working is if you're overthrowing. Now, not just overthrowing and then wake up buttons, right? That's another.
Well, you can't meaty with a high, Dad. That's the wake up throw doesn't work. You can't meaty with highs.
Hold on, I do want to address this because I think there's some inaccuracy. On the wake up system, the big problem in why wake up buttons work is because there are so many different options and people are forced to make reads. And the other thing is characters are not given consistent frame kills to cover all options. So for example, with score, every game has invincibility. Right? If you watch, KI actually has built-in hitbox viewer, so if you go to training mode, you can turn on hitboxes. And one thing you'll see is, as the character's getting up, there's no hurtbox, right? And then it eventually appears, right? Here's the thing about MK11. In most games, like Street Fighter V, after you knock the guy down, you can do like a dash or down jab or something like that. You can get a frame kill so that the next action you take is immediate also. By the way, not all characters have that. For example, actually, I don't know which character, but some characters.
Shit, you can do that with KI. You do that in KI with fucking.
Yeah, but hold on.
Jago's light and then grab or something.
Yeah, but you know how in Street Fighter V you can do an instant get up or a back tech, right? And some characters do not have a consistent way to meaty that, and that's why wake up buttons work so much, right? In certain situations. So in MK11, it's similar where, like, for example, with Scorpion, the only thing, and maybe there are some frame kills that I haven't found, but I spent time in training mode trying to find this. The only thing I can consistently do to cover all wake up options except up 3, obviously, because that's invincible, with Scorpion is
sit there.
No, is after a common knockdown situation with my B&B, I do forward dash, down 1, and then do misery blade cancel into 3. If they just get up, they block the down 1. If they roll backwards, well, the down 1 whiffs and I lose pressure. If they roll forwards, I get a stand 3, but that doesn't really lead to anything if they don't press buttons, so they just block it. And if they jump, it meaties them. If they try to do up 2, it meaties them. So like that's the only thing I found, and that's not a very good option. Right? So if I want to do anything other than dash forward down 1, if I want to do anything other than dash forward down 1 cancer misery blade, I have to take somewhat of a risk. You can do that with forward 3, yes, but the timing on that, if they delay tech, can be kind of a mix-up, and you have to be almost like frame perfect. So like that, and I know that other characters also struggle in that situation where it's like, well, maybe if we just, like Geras, for example, has ways to cover all wake-up options with like that down 4 into low sand, and it's like an option select or something, right? Of course, he has an answer, but not every character does have an answer to be able to like option select all situations. And I guess that's okay because it would suck to give players defensive options and then be like, every character has a way to stop it, but that's part of becoming a good player, learning the game, controlling situations.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just okay to press block. But let me ask you something real quick. Everybody, how many times have you actually just said, you know what, I'm just gonna down 1 meaty just because this fool just keeps waking up buttons, and then you down 1 meaty and you get hit with wake up buttons?
Let me see. Let me look at my wall because I have a hole in my wall for every time that happens.
That's because in this game you can cancel forward dash with buttons, and I think what people are doing is they're doing a forward dash to do a frame kill, and then they press down.
Not even that, just like you're sitting there, they're in the corner, you're holding down, and you're like, okay, he's getting up, I'm about to down 1. Is that really just a missed time on my meaty? Because of course we all been playing fighting games for a while, and I'm pretty sure we all know what a meaty is. And of course I played KI for a while. I came in a little bit late, but playing with my God and all them, whatever. I definitely love the game. And anyways, the meaties were God in that game for sure. And like you really, if you never even played a fighting game, like you understood what meaties were after playing Killer Instinct for sure, like 100%. And like we all know how to do them, but like, is it the invincibility frames are more active on MK11 as opposed to other games?
This is a short and long delay.
Exactly.
I don't know why in MK11 it becomes more. It is harder to react to the wake up animation in this game than it is in games like KI. Like in KI, you can just watch the guy get up and time your meaty correctly. In this game, it's it's not that easy, and I think you need
Well,
like actual
Paul,
frames.
how
It could also be
fast-
intentional. I don't think they want this game to be a meaty game. I think
I don't.
I think they
Well,
wanted to be a
I
dice
don't know
roll.
if that's true. Paul, how fast are the meaty attacks? Give me the start of the meaty
Dude, they're like
attacks.
fucking 4 frames, fucking
Well,
5
Yeah,
frames,
that's
6.
that's
Jet-
all.
Fucking
That's all you need to
that
know. Like there's
that
a,
might be part of it. Yeah, that's actually
like Tom and I talked about this privately in depth. Like in Street Fighter V, you have meaties that are 3 frames. That's not that difficult to time. In MK11, you try to time your meaty sometimes with a 13 frame mid.
So
That's
the other
insane.
thing,
That's
actually,
insane.
yeah, I will counter that you're saying it's easy.
I mean, this game isn't about meaties anyway.
True.
But I will counter your point about saying it's easy in SF5. I don't think that's the case, and I think that that's also part of why you see wake up buttons being so strong. Is because moves in that game are exceptionally fast. You have
Well, I
jabs
shouldn't
that
have said easy. My bad. It's like, but it's
Well,
it's
hold on.
moderate.
I'm making I'm actually like agreeing with your point, right? Because in Street Fighter V, you'll have a jab that's 3 frames. It's active for 1 frame. Even fierce moves in that game are only active for like 1 or 2 frames, and that's similar in MK11, which I think is a big departure from how NRS games usually are. Because normals, for example, like if I open up the Combat Academy site and I look at Scorpion's normals, right? Like all of them start up kind of slow, and they're only active for like 1 or 2 frames. It's really strange. So, like, if you mistime your meaty by even like a frame, you're fucked, right? Because it's only active for 1 or 2 frames. But in a game like KI, you'll have a 4-frame normal, but it's active for like 4 frames or 5 frames, right? And that's a big difference when it comes to meaty. You don't have to be as you can maybe visually react to a get up. And I don't know why they made that design decision. Maybe it is to make the wake up system a little bit more random, but I don't know. I really don't know why that is.
I just think
If you want to
that
fix the wake up,
It is what it is. Adapt or die. That's fuck it.
if you want to fix the wake up thing, take away short delay, because then throw will.
they're not gonna. Yeah, I mean, Slips, go ahead, but
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Like they're not
Not
gonna.
gonna- I don't think they're gonna do anything.
Yeah, they're
I
not
think
going to get. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
On
I think if you all want actual changes, you all have to come up with how you want this game to play, and you got to come up and you all have to team up on what is the first thing. Like you really are going to have to organize yourselves. Like how do you all have to come to an agreement of how you guys think the game should be played, and then you take it one step at a time. Like what's the number one thing that you all can agree on wants to be
Anti-airs.
changed, and then you take it from there, and you see if NetherRealm listens to you, and if they don't, then
The thing is,
They don't give a
we're putting
shit
too much
about
on the
you.
plate. There's too much shit on the plate right now. I think we should all focus on
Yeah,
one
well,
thing.
I think
They need to
I think
go
Rio,
How many different things have we just talked? We talked.
anti-airs are the
about
first thing that should get
about
addressed.
wake-
I think
because
Rio. I think
talking
in your
about
future
folks.
podcast, Rio. I think. Sorry, slips. My bad. I think in your future podcast, I think each podcast should just focus on one subject and see what constructively we or whoever's in the podcast can come up with and agree on, and then set on that. And then the next podcast. Well, I mean, it may make your podcast shorter or whatnot, but I think that's really constructive or something. I don't know.
Well,
That's a really good idea. That's a
let
really
me
good idea.
just say this for the sake of the podcast. And I think Rio, I hope you agree with me. We're gonna stop it right here, but guys, please stay tuned because we're gonna continue the conversation. Just for the sake of YouTube, we're gonna end the podcast right here, so we can upload it and give something for the people on YouTube to talk about. We're gonna wrap it up here. Just for the sake of podcast, but when stay tuned on Rio stream because we're gonna continue with the conversation. We appreciate everybody for listening. I hope you guys stay tuned. All right, guys, we're good. Continue.
look, here's the thing. I don't mind the wake up system. I don't mind the fake
Extremely
balls. Like I'll accept all this other annoying shit. But the one thing that's really annoying that is so present and nonstop is the jumping. That should get addressed.
Personally, I agree. But we all have to agree what type of game this wants to be. Like, do we want this to be a footsie based game? Because if we want a footsie based game,
Nobody wants a footsie based game. It's all a lie. Like it's all bullshit. Like
Dave, speak for yourself, man.
no,
You're not
stop
really good.
lying.
Some
Like,
people do.
nobody. First of all, dude, this is what I wanted to ask Paul.
what is it that you want? Then?
Hold on.
Dave, what do you
It's
want?
not what I want. Let me ask Paul a question. Like Paul, here's the thing. By definition, you can't have a footsies game when you have geyser, when you have low sand trap, when you have
That's right.
even Sonya's projectile. Like by definition, but that's
Yeah.
as MK's ever been. Like you, that's the
I have-
problem. Like
I have your
ahead.
answer though. Dude, Ki also had similarly strong mechanics, and I keep referencing Ki. Sorry to know it's probably annoying, but I just know that game very.
That's fine.
It's not because I miss me some TJ combo. Fucking
So
Look, Sand
hold
Trap
on,
can
you
stay
don't-
being in this annoying anti-neutral move. Just make that shit like -40.
Yes, that's the answer. Risk reward, right? If a move
You want to,
is
you
really-
don't want to play neutral. That's fine,
That's
but
right.
it comes with risk. It comes with risk.
Again, this,
Aaron Black too. His forward 4 should not be safe. It should be full combo punishment.
yeah, again, this is
you
the
need proper anti-air, and you need special moves to be more punishable. That way, grounded moves have more emphasis.
Yes, the abusable
Dave,
moves that bypass neutral nonstop, like Gears, Sand Trap, those should be more unsafe.
Dave,
And fix the anti-airs. This
Dave,
game would be 10 times better just with those 2 changes.
Paul, go ahead.
Sorry, Dave. I think this is again going back to what I said earlier about the misconception that footsies and neutral means you're just pressing normals and walking back and forth. And I don't think that's it. Honestly, I don't even think you need good anti-airs in this game for it to be about neutral and footsies. Because in KI, there are some characters that don't have good anti-airs. Some do, and
But,
some
okay,
don't.
what is the answer?
Hey, but at least you had DP.
But wait a minute, because I want
You just need good risk.
Okay.
That's it. So
Okay.
yes, low sand bypasses neutral. That's totally fine. Make it risky, meaning if I block it from like 3/4 screen, any character has a move that can punish it, right? Yeah, maybe if he does it from full screen, he's safe, but that's on you to get into a range where you can punish it. And that range should be probably allowed to be a little further away than just on top of him. So Geyser as well, right? Geyser's a really good move. From full screen, if she gets away and she does it, fine, it's safe. But if she does it from like mid to 3/4 screen, every character should be able to punish it in some way. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean full combo punish, but it means like I hit you and I can take my turn in some way. That's how you make it about neutral and footsies, because now the Gears player is thinking about neutral instead of just, well, I can just do this with impunity. I can just throw this out, and if it hits, I'm good, and if it doesn't matter. But instead, it means like, well, I have to think about when I throw this. Am I full screen? Yeah. Is he about to dash on me or jump real quick and get to a distance where it's unsafe? And now it becomes interesting. Now it's not just him sitting at full screen, low sand, like with very low effort, right? And just, well, when it hits, I can start my vortex. Instead, it's like, well, I can't throw it now. Or, damn, he put me in a situation where I can't throw it. Let me try to get to a situation where I can. And then the other guy knows that, and he's chasing you down, right? And then, oh, look, there's actually a fighting game happening.
Which is why I'm a huge advocate for more fluid.
You cut out.
My bad.
Huge advocate for morphine.
Exactly, for morphine. Is why I'm a huge advocate for more fluent movement within the game, which will create a lot more opportunities.
I just don't know whether a game all about footies is, in this day and age, and again, I'm playing the devil's advocate here, is marketable to streams, because a lot of the stuff that happens on streams, like the casual audience must like it. If they don't, they're not gonna watch it. So that means
Street Fighter 4 was nothing but footsies. Tekken is nothing but footsies. Like,
well,
Smash is nothing but footsies and neutral too.
Well, I don't know if that's. Well, hold on a minute. How is, dude? Akuma, does he play footsies? Are you fucking kidding me? He dashes up to you, does a mid that leads to 80% next to the wall. Then he has a mid that I mean, it's not safe, but it's.
And that's why everybody, including the stream chat, is complaining.
I know.
Well, he got nerfed in a patch like 2 days ago.
I know he did, but a lot of people are saying it wasn't enough because he's just gonna do it less often, but he's still gonna do it. So how?
But Dave, it's a really good point. Street Fighter 4 like reignited the FGC and really brought back people being interested in competition, and it blew up actually. The
but
FGC
I
was
would
never
argue
that big.
that
game was about neutral and footsies, and it was
I
really
don't know
hard.
why
I would argue
you're
that
on
many.
the Maximilian talking point, and I don't know
No,
why.
I am not on the. Again,
I agree.
Here's
But also, Dave, do you agree with what we can keep things like low sand and geyser, but just add some significant risk to them? Are you cool with that? Because that is neutral.
I am cool with. Again, I'll play whatever people want to play. I'll try to get into it. My point is this though: even Street Fighter 4, a lot of the fucking dive kicks, that was footsies to you, with Young jumping up and down, and you're trying to guess. Okay, is he gonna? What angle is he gonna?
Why has Dave always been the most broken brain dead character, for example?
I don't know if you jump.
I'm sorry, Rio. I'm using examples from the game. I'm sorry, I'm using examples from the game. Again, Jan wasn't even broken that game. It was broken initially, but they nerfed him a lot. But the point is, guess what? That character still is. He still has a command throw, knocks you down, can do dive kick. That's not traditional footsies, is it?
That's right, but that
do that dive kick from a neutral jump. So there is some like he can't just. It's not like a Black Adam dive kick.
Yeah, you can't just jump back all day and then do a dive kick.
Even in a game that is heavily neutral based, you're gonna have characters that aren't about that. Look at El Fuerte. Look at
very true.
Look at C Viper, right? You. It's not a black and white thing. That's why I'm trying so hard to get you guys to like paint yourselves a different picture of what neutral and footsies mean. You can still have. You can still have right. You can still have strong moves that don't mean you're just walking back and forth and pressing normals and still have neutral and footsies. That's not what neutral and footsies means. Neutral and footsies just means like you can't do whatever the fuck you want with impunity.
Yeah, I hate to use KI as another example like PaulB, whatever, but PaulB makes a great point. It's like moves that go across the full screen are pretty punishable. Whether it's, I don't want to always use Geras, whether it's Geras' Sand Trap or
okay, but Tom, does that
whatever it is,
zoning,
right?
does that mean we should have no good zoning then?
No, that's not zoning. That's you don't move.
Yeah, actually, the zoner in KI is an example. So the zoner in KI were the first zoner. There are a few now, but the first, and this is going to sound broken, the first zoner in KI had an unblockable low that was similar to Sand Trap, where he could place it like close. He could place it
Conra.
far away. No, this is Glacius, right? Conra had some other shit too, but Glacius had that, and that move led to full combo, by the way. So you could be full screen and get hit by this low that's unblockable. You can't block it.
And he does full screen combos.
And then he does full screen combos.
And if you break her, he doesn't even get hit and knocked down because it doesn't reach him.
That's right. But
he can counterbreaker you and suck you in. So he gets a free counterbreaker attempt and you're dead. And if you break her, you get nothings.
But you know what? That character was one of the worst characters in the game despite that. You know why? Because when you were mid-screen on him, it wasn't that simple. Right? When he was full screen, yeah, because he could also throw a projectile they could hold and like throw at you, and he could cause like these setups, right? But as soon as you vied for position and you took your screen real estate back, which is part of neutral and footsies, now you're mid-screen against him. Now it's not so simple because there's risk associated with it. You can like jump it. It's very jumpable. If you're standing at the right distance, you can knock him out of it on startup. It's also a projectile. So if you have projectile invincible moves, you can do that on reaction, which every character has projectile invincible moves.
Hell
right?
Yeah.
Sounds like neutral footsies.
I miss that game so much.
Doesn't that sound broken on the surface that he has an unreactable low
full screen
unblockable that leads to full combo, but it wasn't really that strong. And that's neutral and footsies. That's a good game with good neutral and footsies. Although on the surface, if you don't know the game and you don't know what frame data it looks broken, it looks dumb, but it's not. And that's the kind of risk reward that MK11 needs to have for it to become a deep game. So that it's like
Cetrion's got zoning tools. Geyser is not. It's a zoning and combo starting are two different. It's a combo starter. All right.
I mean, it's a little bit of everything, though. Like it's just.
My point is, it's so powerful. The risk is not associated enough with the reward. Like Paul brought up, moves that are that far. If you had a move like that in a game like KI, for example, that move would be minus $1 billion, right? You're going to get a reward off it. It's still making a move like that, or Geras' Sand Trap, making it super negative. It still does what it's supposed to do, does it not? It limits neutral.
Still the same move. There's more risk associated.
Exactly. It does everything it's supposed to do. The only difference, I mean, if you're a Geras player, can you not still check somebody in neutral? Can you not still be a projectile?
You can.
Not still lead to your throw loop. Cetran, does it not still launch, right? Does it not still force
still does everything it does?
Does it not still blow you up when you
That would literally defeat the purpose of the character. Like if she can't check you with that anywhere she wants. Again, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying.
Well, not from full screen, Dave. I don't mean from full screen. I mean, there are ranges you do it that's safe, but like PaulB said,
nobody plays again. How many times are you actually full screen? If you make it punishable even mid range, that literally changes the whole.
What PaulB brings up is once you take your real estate back, it changes everything. But in this game, it does not.
Yes, and that's what neutral and footsies ultimately is. It's like, well, I've just changed the risk reward of your move because I got in on you.
Time, you've always been an advocate for different gameplay styles. I don't want the game to be just all about footies. Guess what? Because I support the guy who wants to do command throws and 50-50s and armored launcher, and the guy who wants to just zone, and that's okay because we want to
They
get.
should have to earn that. You shouldn't just be able to do that from round start whenever you want with
and I
impunity.
agree with you. But the question is, how do you make that work with all the different play styles? And guess what? None of the fighting games in the history have ever figured it out because it's fucking hard, and maybe it can be done. Maybe just
Okay, how about this? How about you let Setchun have her anti-neutral, all this oppressive shit, but up close she's shittier, just like Raiden.
well, she probably
Would that
shouldn't
be
have.
good?
She probably shouldn't have a teleport. I mean, I think we can probably all agree on that. Like I think that's obvious.
See, that's the
That's-
problem. The problem we're saying
Go
her
ahead.
geyser because of what it does, right? Because literally you say I've taken. She's like, okay, you took your estate back, but
Like, I don't even know why this is a debate.
Hold on,
Anybody with
let me-
like more than
let
10
me-
IQ
let me
points can
finish-
tell
let me finish.
Setchun's not
Let me
balanced.
finish this. I'm bringing up PaulB.
He's horribly designed.
Here's what footsies is. Footsies are my mistake. I've taken my real estate back. Cetrian's like, you've taken your real estate back, but I have a teleport that I could do at different ranges, including in place and even in the air. Right? So it's like you could make a read on it and not block, so you can come out of block faster and blow up my up close teleport. But watch out, because I could always check you with geyser. Your thing is,
Yeah.
but I've taken my real estate back. You could check me with geyser to make me think twice about looking for your teleport. But since I've taken my real estate back, now there's a level of risk to you doing that. And that would be just fine. The problem with the game is you took your real estate back. She's like, fuck you, I'm going to do this. You can't do shit about it and worry about my teleport too. That's the problem, what Paul is saying. You took your real estate back and nothing changed.
How do you
That's
outplay
the
somebody
thing.
in a situation where the strongest thing that they have is like essentially never risky? Like, how do you outplay that person?
She's horribly imbalanced. The character is not designed good at all.
Yeah, to quote the great.
There's a reason why she's
real
really
estate,
stupid.
Land. It's the one thing they're not making anymore. But in Mortal Kombat, yeah, dog, we make plans infinite, dog. It don't matter how much land you take or give. Nothing changes.
I think it's interesting that like some things are so fundamentally Mortal Kombat teleports, right? They just are. I just
Of
think
course. And every
the
Mortal
wrong-
Kombat player who's played knows how to deal with teleport.
right. Right, and it's just, but sometimes the wrong variation has a teleport or something, or like maybe it should have a little more recovery frames or something. Like it's odd that it's not.
NRS, they need to get more creative. Like,
I
for
agree.
example, if you want to keep Geyser this safe, fine. But make it so she has to meter burn the Geyser to be that safe. Like, she has to do a meter burn version. Make it, if you want to teleport, have this current recovery, you have to meter burn it. Like, make this bitch come off more resources to be as safe as she wants to be.
That's reasonable.
Right now, everything is, like, free and safe.
And it's low effort, right? It's not hard to just go full screen and just keep doing Geyser and Rock and Geyser. Some characters
Or even when you get the half
tools.
screen, right? I got the half
Yeah.
screen. She's like, hold on, I might teleport and get away. Okay, I'm ready for that.
Like, use something, dude. Either the
Yeah.
Setron is so badly designed in this game. And the fact that people want to defend characters like Setron and Gears, holy shit.
I don't think anybody's defending them. What we're defending is different play styles. 'Cause
It's
we
like, look,
want-
for example, right? Gears
It's
player.
fun to have different
How
playstyles,
many
but
times-
Dave,
how
tell me,
many
what is
times have
Setron
we
supposed
seen
to
a
be?
Gears player who wants to get his game started. He's like, okay, I'm losing by 50%. What am I going to do? Back up sand trap. Why? Well, are you really willing to wait across the screen? Or if you chase me and I catch you with one, I get my game going. Okay, that's fine. But now that I've closed the real estate on you, right? Now you want to do that sand trap. What happens? So then, because they're like, even though you've closed your real estate, nothing has changed unless you're literally almost right next to me.
And you know what the kicker to all this is like you have to fight the game in these situations because movement sucks, really clunky. There's a block button, it's a low. Like even just trying to walk forward is like so hard. Just to like walk forward and not get randomly hit by. It's like I didn't even do a move. I didn't throw anything out. I'm just trying to walk.
And to bring to Rio's point, it's so clunky. Then you have low moves that knock you down, that you play, and you use your breakaway. Yet somebody launches you, and you
That needs to get addressed too. The breakaway input needs to get like ASAP.
accidentally break away on the first possible frame. Yet when you get launched and there are escapable enders like fatal blows that are escapable, if you break away in this first possible frame, you can't do it. You're like, let me get this straight. I can do it by accident, but not on purpose.
So honestly,
The breakaway input needs to be ASAP like hotfix because it's a big issue.
So honestly, like, the question keeps being asked, like, how do we make what's the thing that you change? I think it's the risk reward on these moves.
Your point is right. Step one: make real estate important. The first part.
Well, first, NRS needs to tell us, what is Setron supposed to be? Is she a zoner? Is she a footsie god? Is she an offensive monster? What is she?
She can be.
What is she
can be
supposed
more
to be?
freestyle, but like, again, that's the whole point. Like Paul said, most people don't know what footsies are. They think I'm walking back and forth. I'm playing footsies. Sticking feathers up your butt does not make you a chicken. Walking back and forth does not mean you're playing footsies, right? No one knows the movie I got that from. That's Fight Club. Tyler Durden, the great Brad Pitt, man. Look, that's the truth. People don't really know what footsies are. They're like, I play footsies. What are you doing? Look, back and forth. I'm looking for whiffs. You think that's what footsies is? Whiff punishing? They take the most minute part of footsies and they say, well, if you got whiff punishing because you walk back and forth, look at that newt. No, look at that noose. That nooch is, dog, I took my real estate back. I put you in an uncomfortable position. You're like, well, I'm going to do this move that I spam from full screen, but we're not full screen anymore. I've taken that from you. So now I've gotten to a point where I've now forced you to defend your real estate. But if you want to defend it the same way in which you would from across the screen, there is now a heightened level of risk. This is, and by the way, most of these characters, they have good anti-airs too. So if you go to jump, they're like, oh, I got that too, right? So it's like you take your real estate back and they just kill you even worse for it. That's a huge problem, and that's a huge part of footsies that people don't seem to understand. So step one would be make your real estate matter.
I want to point out, it's interesting that it's like, I think we all largely agree with each other, and except maybe Dave, and Dave tries to play devil advocate sometimes, like, fairly. That's a good thing to do, right? But we kind of all agree on this point. And I would say that probably most people that play this game agree that, it's not about Geras, it's not about Cetrion, it's about specific tools, because other characters have them too, right? It's just that they're overall not very good.
We're just using the most extreme examples of it.
That's right. It's just, other characters also have tools that have fucked up risk reward. It's just that overall the character's not very good, so people don't talk about it. But I think every move should be evaluated in a way so that I can always have some creative way to make your tool not be as strong as it is. Like whether that's getting close to you or baiting or something, right? Like jumping, it doesn't matter. Like I should be able to make it so that your move isn't so low effort. Like literally, I run into Geras players, they go full screen, it's so low effort, right? It's so low risk.
No, Paul,
that just makes the game whack, right?
Paul, trust me, like I was one of the first people, because remember, obviously I like to zone. I'm like, why does this rushdown character have a fucking move that's, that's so safe a full screen? Like, my only thing is this, and I don't want to complain about Geras or Cetrion anymore. Like, if you want to make the game about footsies, I think the point is, and this is what Tom always used to say, is like, not everybody should be like about the same gameplay style. Like, I don't want to just play footsies for, 90 seconds straight. I want to zone. Or maybe this other guy wants to do, command throws. Or maybe
the zoners play their own version of neutral, as there's always neutral involved. And the manner in which you would play it would be different. The spacing is different. The whatever is different on it, correct? Yeah. But it's still neutral in some way, shape, or form. It's just neutral for that game plan. But neutral always exists,
But also, you understand, Dave, but them making these games simpler and more accessible actually eliminates archetypes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because characters become more homogenous and the playstyles become more homogenous. Like, when you watch Street Fighter V, even at the highest level, I can't really tell the difference between, like, Tokido's Akuma and some other high-level Akumas. They all kind of do the same thing because the game has been stripped down so that only, like, 3 things are the strongest thing you can do. Geras,
absolutely,
right? Every time you see a Geras player, it doesn't matter if it's Deoxys or some random scrub in Combat League. It's like, it's not hard to do the strongest thing with that character. So they all look the same because it's homogenized. It's like, that eliminates archetypes. So, like, limiting the game the way that it has been just makes it so that playstyles are even less possible.
You make a game about down one throws and mids. No surprise, the best characters have the best throws, the best down ones, and the best mids.
Sure, yeah. And if you made it so that low sand was actually riskier to throw out, you would start to
put it this way.
But you would see play styles emerge because some guys would be really good at throwing it out, and some would, just like Tom. Remember, sometimes Tom, you and I play. I'll throw spear right in your face, and you'll get hit by it. which is really fucking stupid to do, right? Because Spear is like hard punishable from that.
Yep.
But it's because of the fact that Spear is so punishable, you're never going to expect me to.
No, sometimes you're like, he's going to try to retreat or maybe stick out an attack. Like, he's going to see me advance, try to back one me. I'm going to show an advance, but shorten it and spear. Same thing with slot, right? Like, I back up, you try to back up, and I agree.
Like that, right? That's not, exactly, and it's not the first thing that you think I'm going to do in that situation. It's so powerful, and if it were less risky to do, it wouldn't be as interesting.
Or you could literally say, I'm going to show that I'm hunting this, but I'm really hunting that, right? And then that's part of, exactly.
And it becomes more interesting because of the fact that it's punishable. If it were just always safe, I'd just always be throwing it out. It wouldn't be interesting. Because then you always have to be worried about it.
And you bring up these wake up jumps and wake up whatever. I hear a lot of people complain about wake up jumps. I have never in my life heard Jack say, man, these fucking jumpers. Every time I down one, they jump. You never hear Jack say that. You ever hear Liu Kang say, man, every fucking time I jump kick or down one, they jump. Jackie players don't say that. Jack's players don't say that. Cassie players don't say that. Liu Kang players don't say that. Geras players don't say that. Who are the best characters in the game? What a coincidence, right? And do you know why they don't say that? Because they will fucking kill you with their mids. Their mids actually break the MK11 meta. They are above it, simply because of how dumb it is. Get out.
God.
Yo, who is that? An elephant? What is it?
I bet it was that.
Is that your chair, Tom?
I bet it was that. No, I'm just.
Well, look, just to kind of wrap, because I think we've all we're kind of running in circles now, but I think we all agree at this one point, which is really interesting. And I've seen Scar also agreeing with it in the chat, and maybe Foxy Grandpa and those guys are top players. It would really be good if some of these guys could raise the signal and try to talk about this stuff some more, so that maybe it gets addressed. Yeah, I don't know.
I've never seen Scar. I watched Scar. Let me say, I watched Scar. I have never heard Scar.
Your mic keeps coming out, man.
Go, man, these jumpers. Because when Scar does down 3, he don't give a fuck about no damn jumpers. He's going to mash them in the face with forward 1, and then mash them in the face with this safe combo check with hat, right? Because he's like, well, you're not going to deal with that. And that's fine. Why would you want to deal with that? The problem is, how many characters are equipped to deal with that? One of the things PaulB brought up is characters like, Glacius, right? Well, everybody has a way that has a projectile immune move, So when you cut that real estate off, if he does that, he's dead. We can't say that in MK11. Well, everyone has some way. You're going to jump, and they don't deal with it that way.
Well, Tom, that's why that character's low tier for fucking reason in KI. And guess what? That's best characters always have the best stuff. For example, you guys are complaining about wake ups. It's an issue, but guess what? Kitana, I hit you on plus 25. What wake up? I don't give a shit about wake ups. I'm just going to reset.
Can I just finish my point real quick, because I have to go?
Please do.
I want to say there seems some consensus here, even with you, Dave. I think we can all agree. Sand trap. It's not just about nerfing it so that we don't have to deal with it, right? It's about making the game more interesting, that there's some risk reward involved, right?
Yeah.
And I wish we could maybe get some of the top level players or the high level or whoever, just everyone, to sort of raise the signal on this stuff, because I think NRS's approach this time around, right? There have been 5 opportunities, 5 or 6 patches for them to address this, and they're not. And I think their stance now.
But I mean, if you were a top player and you were winning with Geras,
exactly. That's the problem. They don't want.
You're asking for too much there.
They don't want the status.
You're asking for too much there.
I understand that, but the whole community isn't top. And people, I think, need to be more vocal about these things, because I think what NRS is doing is taking a stand on not changing the game, because in the past they have changed it so much and been heavily criticized for it. But now they're like, well, shit, we were criticized for that in the past. We want this game to have longevity. Let's just change nothing, right? And they really overall have not changed much in terms of balance. The characters that were strong on day one are still the strongest today.
True.
And there are some clear problems with risk reward that need to be addressed. So I think people need to speak up a little bit, like, yeah, look, we don't want you to nerf and buff the hell out of characters every 2 months. But you know what? The game would be better if Low Sand had some risk associated with it. Cetrion would be more interesting to fight. She couldn't just do whatever she wants the whole time. And we wouldn't get so bored of the game. And without being toxic, without being, a jerk and asshole about it, I think people need to, as a community, raise the signal.
Paul, I just stick around for this point as well, because I really want you to comment. Remember when Rio was extremely vocal about the armor in MKX? And we
Here
all
we go
agree.
again.
Again, I need his opinion.
But wait, Dave, before you get into this, make sure you guys all know that I'm the reason why MKX and Injustice 2 got
Okay,
ruined. Anyway, go on,
that's
Dave.
true. Okay, but here's the thing. The thing is, we all agreed like low shadow was stupid, right? But once the armor got removed, we couldn't anti anymore. So we were stuck with having to deal with like Kenshi's teleport, Shinnok's teleport, and all these ridiculous jumping attacks, and even in some cases offense got stronger because we couldn't armor anymore. I'm just telling you, man, be very skeptical. Not again, it's nothing to do with Rio, but be very skeptical what the changes might bring in the overall scheme of things.
Sure, yeah, I'm not asking for any, and that's why I'm cautious to say, like, even though I think a lot, most of the mechanics in this game ultimately are what coalesce to ruin it, I don't want that. I don't want them to heavily change it. What I just want is them to make some small changes to isolated moves so that they have a little bit more risk reward, and so that the neutral game, which is there, is a little more interesting, right? I remember when Deadshot could just go to the end of the screen and go psh, 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 psh. That shit was kind of dumb, right? Because anybody can do that on day one, and it's super hard to deal with. It's the same concept with Geras' Low Sand. He just goes to full screen, and you're like, well, fuck, I'm taking risks just by walking forward to get close to him, right? Just change that. That's easy. Just change the frame date on that move. That's it. Same thing with Geyser. Same thing with Jackie's forward 2 and back to 2. Just change the frame date a little bit. Just like a couple points, couple frames. That's it. You know, not even big sweeping changes. Just make it so these.
Yeah, no one's saying you need to get rid of the playstyles. Like Secheon can remain a zoner.
Yeah.
She could stay like that.
Wait a minute.
But does she really need to be a
Rio,
footsie god and be this up close stagger
you
monster?
naturally get rid of the play styles if you make her play at a certain range where she probably doesn't want to play because she cannot, because that one move that used to be very good is now punishable by.
Okay, but what I'm saying is this: keep her geyser super safe. That's fine, but dude, that offense, those footsies, something needs to get toned down.
Well,
you pick
again,
and choose. Do you want to win by winning zoning
no,
full
I'm not.
screen?
Again, she
or staggering
probably
people up close?
shouldn't have a teleport, but guess what? They're not gonna remove her teleport randomly. It's just not gonna happen. She's probably gonna be top tier for the rest of the games, for the rest of the people play the,
But for the right reason, she can still be top tier. But David, the armor point is right. Possess Kenshi was shit. Why? Because you could crouch block, and if he's trying to do low demon, you block it. But if he does his through the air teleport, you had so much time to react that you could do armor and get around them both simultaneously and use the armor. Once they remove, a character literally went from bottom to top simply without having been changed at all. The only change was there was no more armor launchers.
But guess what? The characters who were still top at the end of the game's lifetime were the characters who had armor in the first place. So literally, what did it change? Nothing. Not because Rio was stupid enough to brand about constantly
Dude,
armor.
Just stop,
armor.
man. Like this whole you thought MKX was a better game with armor launchers. Holy shit!
No,
Did
I
you really
didn't
want to
think
go back to the
that.
days?
No, he's what I
being
thought.
-7 and have people match on armor. Look, MKX
Rio.
never had anti-airs. Them having
No,
armor as a band-aid. Stop. Them having armor as a band-aid was never intentional. They just had fucking armor launchers. Ed Boon didn't sit there and be like, you know what? We're gonna make armor launchers be the anti-airs. That was never a thing, Dave. The armor was a band-aid for a lot of the shitty issues that MKX
But
had.
Rio,
You just finally realized it. You realized it too late.
We talked about the constructive criticism and some of the stuff that NRS is likely to change. Do you seriously think they're gonna give us? Besides, Paul, you talk about how you know much about fighting games. What would it take for?
Plus, dude, hold on.
No, I want to know about this.
Hold on. If it wasn't for me and a lot of other people bitching about armor launchers during MK9 and MKX, this game would have still been an armor fest. You do realize that, right? MK11, finally, we have a Mortal Kombat game that's not a fucking armor fest. And it's crazy.
If we have armor that anti-airs people, which is, again, I support you.
We don't need armor back, dude. How about they just...
apparently we do, because you...
How about they just program better anti-airs? How about that? How about instead of telling them to put armor band-aid and fucking pouring armor on everything that's broken, how about they just program it better?
Well, apparently
get better at designing something.
Which is what I'm saying. Do the stuff that they can.
That's why we're here to keep telling them to. Maybe they'll get it right eventually.
Well, let me ask Paul.
Telling them to add armor back is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. You're really going to make the game worse.
Paul, what type of anti-airs would you need to anti-air somebody who literally jumps, who disappears, jumps on your head with a move that has a very, a huge hitbox but a very small hitbox? Tell me, how do you anti-air that with a so-called anti-air that Rio wants? Tell me.
Are we talking about something like Geras' Body Splash?
Or for
I'm talking about MKX for some reason.
Even worse, like let's say Shinnok's teleport that jumps literally on the top of your head.
Can we just talk about MK11? Like, why are we talking about MKX?
Because you want to change the game, and I'm telling you.
No, Dave, you're wrong here, man. I'm sorry. You gotta suck it up.
to me, you made the game worse. Not you like directly, but your suggestions that apparently
The game was always bad. What are you talking about?
and they made it worse. You could argue at the very end because of your stupid
It's arguable.
suggestions.
For you, it made it worse because your whole game plan was armor launcher. I'm
No.
sorry your playstyle got
Tremor
fucked.
still
My
had
bad,
armor.
dude.
Tremor was fine. It's not about my. I never trail for the game anyway. I don't really give a shit. I'm talking about your suggestions that you're making constantly result in the games being shit. And you made the argument.
Dude, nobody likes armor launchers, man. Like, you're literally crying over spilled milk that has been cleaned up a long
But
time
Dave,
ago.
Dave, to answer your question, it's just a hitbox issue, right? That's any move, right? So if there's some move where you're aerial and it's hard to deal with, and you want to give characters a way to deal with it, you give them a move where their hurt box shrinks, right? So that they have quote unquote like upper body invincibility. But your hitbox for your move is up there where your hurt box would normally be. So that means you can do the move and your hurt box shrinks. So you can be kind of late with it and you can, you don't have to be frame perfect. But that's the idea, right? It's just hurt box and hitbox issues. If the thing coming at you is this massive hitbox, right? Like you've got these big green boxes, if you can imagine that coming at you from the air, then developers need to give your character, if they want him to anti-air effectively, some way to shrink his hurt box, right? But they don't want that in this game intentionally. Otherwise, they would do it because other characters do it. Like,
Look, here's the thing. For the next game that they make, MK12, the developers, the people that program, and the people that are the artists that animate, do all that shit, they need to come together and be on the same page here. Because, yes, it's also on the person that's programming the move. You need to do the hitbox size, the frame data, making sure it's quick and that. But the person who's animating the move, the artist who's drawing this shit, they need to make something look like an anti-air. You look at Aaron Black's down 2, what the fuck is that? That is like the most horrendous upward swinging punch I've ever seen in my life. They need to design something that looks like it would anti-air, and then the person needs to do a job to do the frame data and then tweak it. So both sides, they need to come together, be on the same page for this to happen. Because a lot of the anti-airs in MK11 look like shit. Like, they visually look like shit anti-airs.
I actually do think this game would be a lot better if just jump. And also, that could be an archetype thing, right? Like, you don't have to create a universal anti-air. It could be character specific. For example, Karen, right? Karen in Street Fighter V is a footsie god, and she does a ton of damage. However, her anti-airs kind of suck. She doesn't really have...
keep telling Rio that, and he's being completely denied.
No. And also in KI, Mira, massive damage. She has like this blood mechanic where she can spend like some of her own health temporarily to do massive damage. She controls neutral really well. She's the only character in that game with an instant air dash, similar to something you'd see in like Guilty Gear or Dragon Ball. But guess what? She has no anti. So like if you jump on her, she's just gonna hold that, right? And that's how you leverage tool sets. It's like, I'm really good in the neutral. I have really strong neutral tools. I can't anti-air for shit.
But Paul, Rio doesn't even want that. Just so you know, he doesn't even want that.
I don't think MK should be like that because MK's been like that since Injustice 1, Dave. It's already like that. The thing you're talking about. This game has been like this in Injustice 1, where half the cast just can't anti-air because they don't have the tools.
The funny thing is, this game, some characters do have anti-airs. I get anti-aired by Kang and Geras all the time. Although those are sort of the characters that don't need anti-airs, right? Like, the characters that should have anti-airs are the ones probably that don't have fast mids and are relying more on playing neutral, right? Like, if you don't have a fast mid, you're not doing pressure and you're relying more on like opening people up through like neutral or whiff punishing or baiting or whatever like that, right? So in theory, those characters probably should have anti-air so that they can control space a little better, because once you get on top of them, they're kind of helpless. They don't have a fast mid. So that would be one way to deal with it. I think give some characters a move that like makes the other guy flip out, doesn't necessarily need to lead to full combo. Maybe some characters do have an anti-air that leads to full combo.
That's literally that's what I've been saying this whole time. NRS games are better when everybody has an anti-air, but the reward off them should be different and character dependent. Like, some characters, anti-air should only do 12% what they're down to. Some characters' anti-airs could be like a standing 4 and single follow-up, which will do like 5% knock you back.
Just imagine
some characters you jump in them, you get comboed. It should be different and character dependent.
Imagine what the neutral in, and I know neutral in footsies is becoming this bad word and not everybody wants it. Imagine what the matches would look like and how different they would look at a high level or even just in Combat League if you couldn't just jump whenever you wanted. Just imagine that. Like, it would be so different, because then people would have to be more creative on the ground and then have to figure out other ways to get close to you instead of, well, I'm just going to jump because it's impossible to anti-air. The game would just be better.
I agree.
Slips, did you want to say something earlier? We're sorry interrupting you. Slips, you there?
I forgot what it was.
Okay.
I mean, we're pretty much all in agreement. I think that in regards to you have to that some of the special moves they're just too good, and you have to maybe give some better anti-airs.
And
I
those
think
are pretty simple
Yeah.
fixes too. We're not asking for a lot. Those are pretty simple fixes. Some frame data changes on some specials. Maybe I don't. We can save the anti-airs thing because that's actually a big game change. It's simple, but it does change the game a lot. Just change the risk reward on things like Jackie's forward lunge punch. It's got a crushing blow on it. God damn, can that thing just be punishable? Like, can it be punishable so that she has to play neutral so that she can't get in for free? So you don't just get staggered to death because she landed a random unreactable full screen move that's safe. Changes the game. Makes it way better.
All like the best characters have like these neutral heavy specials that have very little consequence.
I know, and
Big surprise, right?
yeah.
What a coincidence.
I know, and my argument is that again, it's not right. It's not supposed to be that way. But if you look at fighting games, for the most part, at least the ones that I'm familiar with, that it's always been like that. Um, the characters, the best characters usually are the ones who find a way to not play the neutral game and like, you know what, I'm just gonna shove this mood down your throat and I don't have to play the neutral game. That's literally like what all the top tiers do.
Of the characters that ruin games. Vega ruins ST. Old Sagat ruins ST. Like those are problem
Yeah,
characters.
those are the characters we don't want, Dave.
But
like
no,
I think
I'm again. You're thinking I'm one.
there's a disconnect here.
It's not a disconnect because here's the thing. I recognize that aspect.
But you're literally saying, hey, it's okay for this game to have broken shit
Here's the
like
thing.
that because other games have it too. What is that
Paul,
logic?
here's the thing. Paul mentioned Akuma got fixed, and that's fine. But guess what? He still might be a problem. And even if you remove Akuma, then you still got Dragonov's doing a plus running move into a homing low. That's 50-50. People are always going to bitch about something because there's always something down there. And guess what? If you nerf those characters, then there might be something else people don't like.
So your logic is people are always going to complain or bitch about something. Let's not fix anything at all.
No, we can
Come
still
on,
fix
man.
it, but they're always like based on people's feedback. Like you made
Dave, listen to what you're saying, man.
No, I'm not justifying it. Like, do you understand
Yeah,
what
Dave, it's classically a problem because balancing. It's like a
exactly?
whack-a-mole
That's what I'm saying.
Well, hold on. It's like a whack-a-mole situation because it's like, all right, we fixed Geras' sand trap. There's some risk reward, and then 10 other things pop up because you just didn't. Because now people start playing the game differently. Because now Geras isn't just about low sand, low sand, low sand, low sand. Now he's got to do other things, and that uncovers other problems because people didn't have to play that way before.
exactly? That's all I'm mentioning.
But
That's fine. Like the meta is always going to
like Slips and Rio think
the
that
meta is always going to shift when there's changes.
But
That's fine.
That's not a reason to not make these changes, is what I'm saying.
no, I'm not arguing for. I'm just saying Slips and Rio think I'm somewhere for that. Like I want that stuff.
Like, look,
I'm
okay,
not
you make Jackie's dash punch not safe on block for whatever reason. It's safe on block. Then the Jackie players are going to go play high tech or whatever the variation is with the jumping, and they're going to do it that way. That's fine. Metas are going to shift. People are going to find other ways to do things. But right now, there's some moves that shouldn't be as safe as they are. There's no reason why Geras' low sand trap should be as spammable as it is in most of the matchups in the game.
No, I agree
Things
with
are
you.
just better to deal with than others. Some things are just more fun to deal with than others.
No, I
That's
such
it.
a great
I'd rather
point.
deal with
That's a
Jackie
great
breaking
point.
neutral. I'd rather deal with Jackie breaking neutral in a variation that's supposed to do that rather than her just having a safe advancing move for no reason.
Dude, that's such a great point. Again, this isn't about I don't want that move in the game because it's strong, right? Because there are lots of moves and lots of games that are really, really fucking strong, but you know what? It's fun to deal with them. Glacius's example with the unblockable low is a good example. That shit is so strong, but it's actually fun to fight against because you have to be strategic. You have to
I
be
mean,
smart.
if
You
he's
have to
low
play
tier,
the
though,
game.
it doesn't really apply to the meta at all. Like,
Well,
if
he's not, and he's not anymore. Actually, he's one of the best characters in the game now.
Dude, Scar has a good point. He said they took away Cassie's meter burn special that she could make safe just to introduce Johnny a patch later with the same fucking shit.
That's a weird mistake.
There's no
that a lot of
consistency.
developers.
There's no consistency.
Yeah, that is
What
weird.
pisses me off is Scorpion that's got the fucking spear, the most classic fucking move and most iconic move in fighting game history. I can't jump after my spear. And then Johnny Cage gets buffed and he can jump after his flash of the camera, and when he throws his sunglasses in your face and he can get full jump in combos. Like, damn. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That makes me mad, man. I just
Well,
wanted to rant.
No, I understand. Again, I'm not justifying. I'm just playing. I'm literally like historically speaking, a lot of the top tiers just broke the meta, and it's as old as ST when we had, as Slips mentioned, Vega flying around, or whether it's also got literally, tossing, low gunshot at, million miles an hour, and you can't really react to anything. Like, that's why those characters were so good, because they did not have to play the game as, as the other ones.
Yeah,
But
and
guess what?
they kill it.
Yeah, exactly. But
They do.
guess
They
what?
do kill it.
If even if you nerf them, there might be something else that comes up that people don't like, people bitch about. Now, it might be more fun to play against, but it fucking won't stop people from bitching, that's for sure.
But that's the difference. As long as it's fun to play, people won't quit the game. People
Right,
might
it's trying to get people to stop from leaving.
people might quit the game because of things like Gears Low Sand Trap. You know what I mean? That's the
Then
kind
why
of
did-
frustration that people get.
Why do people like Marvel vs. Capcom 2? I know they don't play it anymore. Why was it such a success? That game was literally broken, and people still played it for a long time. Arguably,
Because it was fun. It's not fun to fight Gears Sand Trap, no matter how good it is. It's just not fun. And
Again,
Marvel
fun-
vs. Capcom, as broken as all that shit is, it's
yeah.
fun. It's fun to deal with those mechanics, even though they're super strong. It was the same thing with Marvel 3. That game was broken as hell. But when you're playing it, dealing with those tools, it's fun. And that's the deciding factor. But they've already made this game so homogenous and so simple.
Fun is subjective.
It is.
Fun to you might not be fun to me, but or might not be
Of
fun to
course.
Slip.
And
that's
that's true for anything in life, man. But they've already simplified the game so much. It's like, okay, I'm Scorpion. I have 2 moves. I can throw a spear and I can do a teleport, or I can press normals, right? Geras doesn't let me throw my spear, and the only thing I can do is wait for him to sand and hopefully react teleport. So it's just this is boring. I don't have any tools. I don't get to do anything except like hope he does sand and hope I react to it. Like, that's just boring, right? If it
Talk
weren't
about how fucking broken that move is. Think
It's
how
so
broke
broken.
that move is.
Dude, it gives guaranteed Oki.
The
from
move
anywhere
you
in the
can't
screen.
even
Like, what-
react to, and it's an instant low. And if it hits, he's right next to you. Like that.
And it has the easiest crush and blow setup too. He just has to whip 2 of them, and then you really can't move.
It's just, I
how
think,
crazy
like-
of a move. It's like Black Adam's Black Magic, but it's a low.
but dude, they must know that move is broken. The problem is, I think they're just afraid to make changes because they don't.
It's like
want
Black Adam's Black Magic, but it's a low and it's not punishable until point blank. Like, what in
it
the
makes no
fuck?
sense.
What is that? Of all the of a return to neutral, like that. What the fuck is that thing then? And a lot of the
It's a massive
fireballs
blow
like
up.
that too, like the rings and the like Liu Kang's fireball. Like, some of the fireballs are just like, there's absolutely no fucking reason not to do them.
Let's not
So
forget that Low
obnoxious.
Sand has a crushing blow to it as well.
It's just like, you can't play neutral with these special moves that are just so ridiculous.
It's not
out
it's
of
not
control.
It's not just neutral that you can't him. That's the problem. You don't get to even do anything. That ruins the game for so many other characters, and that makes it boring. And I think ultimately people will be like, I just grinded this game for a year and I still can't deal with Gears. What the fuck? And then they quit.
All I know is when we mentioned, when this was playing to win, saying, "Hey, wait up! Like, why does this character have a from the deep that's in some sense even better in certain aspects?" And both of us got blown up for it in this community, saying, "Oh, you guys just want to zone, you deal with this move. It's not really that neutral breaking." Well, I'm fucking glad people actually finally agree with us, because that's what we've been saying all along. So I don't want to hear this stuff how I'm, an NRS cocksucker when I've been literally complaining about this move since I've seen it. I know exactly from day one what this move would do. But as people say, like, there's certain people in this community, like, you can't say anything, otherwise you're the bad guy.
I think they're just afraid. I think they clearly know that Gears Low Sand is a bullshit.
Let me weigh in on that
think
low
they're
sand
scared.
thing PaulB was talking about, like Slip said, or you can't do anything, you don't get to do anything at all. It's like, for me, right? Walking forward, crouching all day. Can't do any moves. Don't jump, don't do it. Just walk forward and crouch all day and just stay ducking from, quarter screen. And the answer is, here's what you do. Pick a different variation, and overhead low, overhead low. Oh, so much depth you gave me. A coin flip it's not enjoyable. It's like, if you're looking for, like, all right, but past the first day, what else can I do but overhead low? Nothing. Well, I can figure that out in 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, what else is there to figure out? That's the game, dog. When after 5 minutes, the answer is that's the game, people want to find a new one. And that's what Paul and Slips are saying.
No, yeah, that's true.
I used to play this game like, I don't know, 3-4 hours a day maybe. Now, after an hour, I'm like, I'm done. There's nothing to do. Like, it's just boring. And it's like, I play it because I largely only play it because it has a good netcode and there are always people online. Otherwise, I'd be playing other games. Like, if Soul Calibur had really good netcode, there'd be people online, and I would just play that. Way more fun. Like, there's just nothing to do in this game. And it's after I've done 4-3 and grabbed you 3 times, like, I don't know what else to do to be a smart player or to like have fun, because that shit's not fun. The game makes me play a very specific way, and depending on the matchup, I can't even play. I can't even play in the Garrus match. Like, I can't do stuff because everything's so risky, and that's boring.
See, the thing is,
and after an hour of that, I'm like, all right, I've seen it all. Like, what the fuck else do I have to do to?
I'm kind of fearful we're not going to see a patch for a while. Like, I don't know. I have a gut feeling we're not going to see a patch until like Joker or Spawn comes out.
But you're talking about things that they're probably not going to.
They're not going to patch that with the Spawn. Dude, they're too scared at this point, and it's really the community's fault. They've been
I don't know,
crucified for patching stuff. They're not going to change anything.
Paul, wait a minute. Like, I think the issue.
You want to know why they're scared? I'll tell you why. Because M2 Dave.
Again, yeah.
They did something good. Stop. They did something good. They fixed the shit-ass armor system in MKX that nobody liked. And then you have morons like Dave that cannot stop bashing us for doing that. You're the reason why our game is not getting fixed.
I think the reality is that...
You're the reason why they're scared to fix Gears. Because the second they do that...
Also, one more thing. We're talking about like stuff you want more or whatever. Like, for example, like I'm labbing the collector today, for example, right? And I'm like, oh, here's this ring. And this is kind of, or Jax. People are like, oh, Jax is whatever, right? Or so derpy or whatever. Situations like whether it's Jax 4-3-3, 1+3, or when I was labbing collector today, it's that, oh, I found something I can use here. It's that's the feeling, that depth that you looked for something, you looked deeper past the surface and found something usable. The problem is what this game does, like Paul said, it isn't just the specials or the footsies or the jumping. It's so many little things like, oh, wow, this is -7 right here. If he tries to stagger, I get my turn back and I put him in a jail or whatever, or a situation where I can jail him. And then when he knows he's jailed, then I do something else, throw, overhead low, whatever. And if he tries to do a special cancel, I still beat him. His only option is to do a full combo punishable special. It is a way to reverse the mind game of something that's too simple. Only what happens is, because of the block button and how you come out of it, you actually can't do that. So then the game says, here's depth, but you can't use it. Well, why is that? Block. And a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet my life one of the main reasons why the computer you can't allow the computer to come out of block with a normal instead of a special is because the computer would miss the punish half of the time, and you would say, what the fuck is this? Your computer can't even punish it, and you want us to do it.
Computer can't fucking punish it. I do also think that is a big problem, that I need to frame perfect on normal punishes, because normals don't have a buffer coming out as a reversal. I think that is like no other game is like that, and that is really weird. Because like sometimes I have my fastest normal is like stand 1-1, right, with Scorpion at 7 frames. So if somebody does something that's -8, I miss that quite often because I wasn't frame perfect. I think there's just no need. Like, they've already made it a point to remove the execution barrier, so why introduce that? Like, it seems inconsistent. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like,
one of the great things in Tekken is like just knowing like you can play defense and like punish people and just for doing stupid shit. It's like you can like just play defense and just like, how dumb is this guy? Like, how desperate is this guy to like try and open me up or do like damage to me? And like, is he gonna do punishable shit? And it's, oh, he is. And it's like in like NRS games, it's like, they're gonna do something that's punishable, and like the skill is just being able to punish it. It's like, God.
Well, that's been that aspect, and I know I mentioned before. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Like, it's been here again, not to excuse it, but it's been there for so long, and they still haven't fixed it. Like, how do you? Like, we just have to focus on stuff that are actually gonna fix. Like, is this gonna get fixed? Like I don't know what they have to do. Like, we
gotta give them credit. Like, they do fix a lot. They fix hella shit that we complain about, dude. We've come a long way. They fix the netcode.
True.
They fix they fix a lot of stuff. They they balance
I know, but like
most things.
hitbox issues.
But like, there's always, like you said, there's always going to be something that needs addressing.
I know, but this is like, dude, you can't hold on a minute. You literally said no other fighting game has this, and neither should MK. Like, if a move is -7, and I have a 7-frame jab, I should be able to punish that like 95% of the time, just like I do in Tekken.
Why not 100% of the time?
Well, let's say I'm slightly off. There's human error. There's some human error.
Right. Go on.
That's why games have inputs.
No, yeah, exactly. But like, if they haven't fixed the stuff by this point, like, and trust me, like, you says we haven't been bitching. Like, dude, we have been bitching about this stuff entire year since Justice 1. I've been talking about this block thing for a long time, but nobody took me seriously. It's like, oh yeah, you just want to zone, whatever, like the usual stuff.
Some design choices you want to flesh out. Like I mean, we've known about this thing for a while, and after the third or fourth game, like, it's kind of annoying. Yeah, at first it's like, okay, there's skill to it because you have to know the exact timing of when to hit the damn button and understand how long the block stun is and everything. But it's at to the point because of online mainly. I think because online always is going to vary it up. It just makes it super fucking unfun to fight against. Like, someone's going to do something that's punishable, and I go to punish it. And because I'm online, and it's like maybe we had like a little bit of a lag spike. I miss my punish, and the guy gets a down 2 crushing blow. Like, that shit fucking sucks.
Myself and PaulB do that all the time against each other. When it comes to like,
I'm over the skill of doing the just frame or 2-frame fucking punish window. I'm over it. It sucks. Online fighting games aren't good enough for it. I say get rid of it. Fuck that shit.
I also say this. One of the things, just in general, offline in general, think about the more. It also gives you more content to talk. And when people see stuff that has depth, they're more likely to say, well, let me look into something. Jax is another great example. Jax, right? What is Jax? Forward 3-3 stagger, and you go to hit a button, forward 3-3, 1+3. If you go to flawless block to 1+3, forward 3-3 into the back forward 2 amplify, which is also safe up close and blows up the flawless block, especially now when there's no option select. Offensively, you can explain it from the Jax player's perspective and say, oh, there's some depth here. Now, on the defensive side, what can you do? Nothing. What should you be able to do? Forward 3-3, 1+3, I don't need to flawless block it. Or forward 3-3, 1, I guess, because it's -7. Kung Lao, down 3. Sub-Zero, down 1. Scorpion, down 1. What does this do? Guarantees my turn is back. Now, you may say, it's just a down 1. Who cares about that? He does. Because what happens? Down 1, throw. Down 1, throw. Oh, I'm not going to take this throw. Down 1, I'm going to mash. Jailed. Full combo. GG's. What does the Jax player start doing? Well, I'm going to stagger every time. I'll tell you what, friend. I'm going to mash every fucking time I see that forward 3. You had better do that overhead. But when you do, I'm going to take my turn back. Better not guess wrong afterwards. What does the Jax player start saying? I don't know if I want to be in close all day mashing. Because he's just, fuck, man. He's making the right reads. He's forcing me to finish. But then when I finish, he's blocking. And then he's taking his turn back. What am I going to do? I guess I'm going to try to play a little more neutral instead of ramming my moves down the. What do you know? Another aspect of the game which enforces more footsie-like play because of the depth it provides. But what do we get instead? It's -7. What can you do? Nothing. Can I punish with? No. How about something 6 frames? Maybe. What year is it? What's the day of the week? How's the wind blowing? And that's the problem.
Is that punishable? Maybe.
Situations that are present in the game which give you depth but are not accessible to you. That's another problem.
I'm gonna sign off. I just want to make a parting point before I do, because I hear a lot of the time people say things like, you're just salty because you're not good at the game, blah blah blah. Like, I hear that shit from like top players, which is first of all way more toxic than anything I've ever said about it. Because what you're doing is encouraging anyone who is in a top 8 placer to like not ever make a complaint or criticize the game or anything, or basically say that your opinion's invalid, right? For me, it's not about winning. It's not about losing. I've got an Evo medal in a game that I really loved. I did that. The last thing I want to do is like travel around spending my money to compete and stay in hotels and play for flights where I'm going to win like $500 for fifth place, right? Like I'm just not interested in that. What I am interested in is having a fighting game that I love that I can come home and play like after the gym or something too. That I can play with my friends. That is interesting enough that it keeps me engaged, right? This game is pretty close. It needs some adjustments and it could possibly be that game. The reason that I complain, the reason that I even bother to criticize the game is because I think it has things that have lots of value, like good online, and it has really good graphics. It looks really good. All that stuff, if they could just fix some of the gameplay issues, I'd be totally happy, right? And that's why I care so much because we get a lot of fighting games and they're mostly garbage, right? They mostly have bad netcode, shitty online features, or nobody plays them if they are good, right? So it's actually hard to find a game where it's like, okay, this is kind of fun. The netcode's good, the online's good, the graphics are good. That's like a perfect storm. It so rarely happens with fighting games, right? So it's like, all right, we got one, good netcode. Already it's a unicorn. Can we just make the gameplay good so that I have a fucking game to play? Because no one plays KI. I can't go back to that. That's the only other game I can think that has good netcode. I'm not going to play Skullgirls or Punch Planet. Someone even mentioned it. So that's why I care, because I just want a good game to play, right? Because they are so rare. They are so rare. So that's my parting point. Don't think it's because because I lose or whatever. Like, none of that matters to me anymore. I'm looking at my even. I accomplished that. That's something like 99% of FGC people will never dream to even accomplish, right? I've got that. I don't care about that anymore. I just want a good game. That's it. So thanks for having me on, Rio and Dave and Tom and Slip. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, man, it was really good.
Yeah.
A lot of good topics were covered today.
Yeah, we really did. Thanks for stopping by. Well, man,
Yeah, see you, PaulB.
I'm gonna peace out too, guys. It was a great conversation. I'm gonna go to YouTube. Let us know what you think. Comment, chat. I've been reading it. Like, what do you guys think? It's not just about us. I understand you guys want to blame me, but guess what? A lot of times I'm playing the devil's advocate because I don't want to be just agreeing with people. You have to question if those things that people are saying are the right things to do. If you're not, then everybody's just agreeing with you. Like, what's the fucking point? You have to question people's motives. You have to question what people are saying. You have to think critically. And that's the point. Otherwise, everybody's agreeing with each other. Like, what are you guys watching? Like, what? People sucking each other off? Like, what's the point? So let us know what you think. Rio, I hope you upload it. And Rio, Tom, and Slip, thank you guys so much for being here.